What is going on, Casually FC? Welcome to the Casually Chelsea show. We have an absolutely loaded show for you today on a Wednesday evening. Make sure you do all the admin, smash that like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. 61% of you are watching that are not subscribed. Make sure you go ahead and help out the channel by subscribing. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss out when we do some live streams. I said haha. Also, be sure to check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about all the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Be sure to check out our membership starting at 99p, and you can use some fun emojis with that. Big shout out to start off the show to anyone who is proper casual tier and higher. That would be Winter Surfer, Daniel, Strasbourg, Steve, OG, Turbo, Jesus, Dark, and Scott. And big up to all of you guys who have become members. We have 10 members now. Big milestone for the channel. So thank you guys so much for the support. I'm here accompanied by Oliver and Scott and myself, Marshalldbdx. Like I said, loaded show for you guys. Let's not wait. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Mudryk has gotten himself into some drama, and we got some fresh news on it. Let's do our takes by let's watch the video first and then have our take. So this is the video that is under contention at the moment.
So you see that man at the gym working hard, trying to better himself with a trainer. He's in an embarrassing situation where, yes, he's a little exposed, and you decide, hey, let me take a video of it to post on social media to make fun of him, all for attention. Really? Pardon my language, but what the fuck is wrong with you? And you're a professional soccer player. You play for Chelsea in the Premier League. Is this how you want to represent yourself and your team? Let me tell you a story from about a month ago. I was at Goals. I saw a woman in the same situation. She was on the lat pull down. She was a little exposed. So I walked up to her very discreetly. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I told her. She pulled her pants up and she thanked me. I'm not saying you have to do that, but you should at least mind your own business or tell his trainer. Let the trainer help him out. But what you don't do is take a video to post online for millions to see to make fun of this man. And the fact that you don't know better or want to set a better example as a professional athlete, really, you need to do better. Mind your own business.
Joey Swole, everyone. No, he's not wrong at all. Go ahead, Scott. You haven't seen this. This is the first time you heard it. So.
How do I? That's like the best way I can explain that. Like, 'cause that just. I'm struggling to understand why you post that video. Number one, just not even as a football player, just as a person. Like it's a really childish mentality. Like it's high school kind of vibes.
Yeah. Which
I can't lie. Since he's come in, when it comes to social media and certain other things, Mudryk has given off that vibe. Like, I don't know whether it came out to be true or whatnot or whatever. But we all know about that video that came out when he went back to Shakhtar and the discussion he was having with the players and the manager and whatever, or the owner or whatever. Thing. Yep. Like, brother, this guy has been here, 5 months? And this is his second, bit of media, just faux pas, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Bro, you need to learn quickly. As Joey Swole said, you're in the public eye, you're a very well-known player because of the club you play for and the fact you're playing in the Premier League every week. Do better, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing, if you want to make fun of, maybe something not as, personal. This is the guy's, personal, it's obviously he doesn't want his ass to be on the internet. You don't want if you're a woman, you don't want your nipples to your nip slip or something like that to be on the internet. You don't want something embarrassing like that. Maybe if he's making fun of his footwear or something or his hairdo, yeah, fine, you're just having a laugh, whatever. People,
I can't lie, even that there. Just for strangers, there's no point. If that's your mate, understand, whatever situation they're in, if that's your mate, take the piss, because sure. That's kind of fair. As long as you're not bullying them, as long as it's just taking the piss, that's cool. But when it comes to just strangers, just don't be a dick.
Especially if you're an internet personality.
Yeah, whether it comes to footwear, haircut, what they're wearing, you know, whether they're, you know, like overweight in the gym or whatever. Just don't be a dick.
That's like one of the weirdest takes that I've heard from some people. Like, I mean, I don't. Some people are trolling. Obviously, they're joking around, and some people are actually being serious. Like, oh, he's just like, you know, fat shaming him. You know, it's just whatever. And I'm like, first of all, you're fat shaming someone that's going to the gym. That's like the most like ironic thing you could possibly do. Like, this guy clearly knows he's out of shape. That's why he's going to the gym. If anything, he gains more of my respect because he's actually doing something about it. You know, but it's just like, it's pretty much like, I already hate going to the gym and seeing all types of cameras, and we see this toxic gym culture where, like, you know, we have women that keep saying that, oh, guys are staring for too long being creeps, and you have, you know, guys just doing creepy shit as well. This only adds to fuel to the fire. And like you said, Scott, like it screams to me insanely immature. This is like high school shit. Like, the kid is, how old is he? He's 22, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I would think by now you've kind of outgrown these kind of like silly things. Especially, you're a professional footballer. You should know by now that you have an internet like personality. You have this online presence, and it's an influential one. So, like, doing something like that, it's kind of a dick move. Actually, it's not even kind of a dick move. It is a dick move, and I don't appreciate it. Like, I did lose respect for Mudryk after seeing that. It's just like, come on, man. Like, leave the fucking guy alone. If that was a woman, he would have been lambasted by the internet. I guarantee you that. Like, no one would have thought that was okay. And yeah, it doesn't make a difference if it's a guy or not. Like, you don't post that kind of shit on the internet. You know, it's just. It's not okay. Oliver, I don't know if you want to throw your 2 cents into that.
Not really much more to add. I mean, it's just a man having an honest wardrobe malfunction that can happen to anyone. You know, you don't have to highlight that, and it is immature, like you've both said. You know, I can't really say much more. You know, maybe he needs social media management in terms of like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But at the same time, like, I don't want to take. Obviously, he's still a kid, right? Like, I don't care what anyone says about legal age being 18. Like, you're not fully fledged adult with like really adult, mature thoughts until maybe around the age of 25. So he's still like a kid, and I don't want to take him away. Like, I don't want to take like something like social media away from him, because, you know, he has the right to engage in normal human behavior and doing the things that other kids do. But at the same time, like, he does need at least like a mentor or someone to really be like, hey man, you really shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. This is how you should act. This is how you should go about doing things on socials, and what you should and shouldn't say, you know?
Also, just linking it back to kind of football a little bit. And Empre's kind of touched on it a little bit as well in the chat, kind of what I was going to say. Like, just going back to what I said about like the attitude and the how it comes across, like M3's right. Like, this is a guy who has things in his game he needs to work on, and who, since he's arrived, has not had a lot of game time. When he's played, he's looked good in some games, bad in others. Like, it does. You can find a bit of a correlation, or you can have some speculation in terms of maybe this is why he doesn't start as much, or like because if his it doesn't look good for his attitude, especially like. Because you can then correlate or speculate, is this how he is also in training? Is he like this immature?
Is he one of those people in training that he just bullshits all the time? He doesn't take training seriously.
Or like not necessarily seriously, or it's like he doesn't give 100%, or it's like he isn't doing as much as he could do, things like that, or is he more content with like just kind of taking the piss and coasting? It's like obviously we don't know for a fact,
of course,
but yeah, it does just give. Like, it does put it out there in terms of like,
it gives credence to the fact that maybe this is why he doesn't play or doesn't start, you know?
Perhaps.
I mean, it could be a part. Well, we won't know, but like, I really hope that this kid starts learning how to buckle the fuck up very soon, because it's not helping. It's not helping his case. And we saw it with the Cucurella thing earlier in the season, and now we're seeing it with this. It's just like, come on, man. Like, you can only make so many mistakes. Like, Don't do what a lot of these superstars have done, the mistakes that they have made as they've gone about their career. And when I'm saying superstars, I'm talking in likes of like, you know, the immaturity levels that we've seen in Jesse Lingard, what we've seen in, you know, not saying Neymar hasn't had a great career, but he's made mistakes in his career as well that have brought more attention than he needs, more spotlight on him than he needs. You know, and even Cristiano Ronaldo has done some stupid shit along the way as well when he was growing up. So, you know, there's a lot of professionals that have made mistakes, and it's just these people need mentors so that they don't do these stupid things. But alas, we move on with that. Mudryk, buckle up, bro, because you can't be doing this shit anymore. All right. The next bit of news that I wanted to discuss was Tom Glick stepping down as the business manager person,
something like that,
something of business. All right, so for those of you guys who don't know, Tom Glick some time ago was, I guess, accused of sexual harassment by a former person that was bidding for Chelsea, known as Catalina Kim. Back when we were still figuring out who was going to be the new Chelsea owner. Hold on, I gotta switch this. I did this the wrong way. And so I thought this was done, said and dusted, but apparently not. It was only just taken care of recently. But here we go. So we have the Times Sport reporting exclusive. Chelsea are set to move, set for more upheaval with their president of business, Tom Glick, expected to leave after only 10 months at the club. The changes at Chelsea include appointment of new chief executive in Chris Jurassic. Now, Catalina Kim came out with a statement, and I'll just read this right here. I appreciate that the owners have taken this matter seriously, and I am pleased to see Chelsea FC's efforts to establish an inclusive culture at this club. Being a female agent in European football and an ethnic minority in the UK, I have always fought against discrimination in both my professional and private life. As a woman working in a heavily male-dominated industry, I'm particularly proud of the fact that I have taken this stand. I have worked with many amazing colleagues in football who have helped and supported me in dealing with situations. Sadly, I am all too aware women are subject to unacceptable behavior in our industry. Men and women are both suffer from bullying in football workplace, and I don't think our industry has dealt sufficiently with all forms of discrimination. Events elsewhere only this week bear this out. I think she might be referring to the Vinicius stuff as well. We must take action against all discriminatory and predatory behavior, and I will always help when I see it. Thanks again to Todd Bowley and others in Chelsea Football Club and their support. Sincerely, Catalina Kim. So I think they did the right thing. Maybe you should have done it sooner. For whatever reason, they didn't do it. Maybe they wanted to clarify things, get context, and know what actually happened, which, sure, I think that's a good way to maneuver. But it's come to a conclusion. He stepped down. This guy is an asshole for doing what he did anyways. Shouldn't be I certainly wouldn't want someone that behaves like that working for the club anyways. Just brings a bad name to the club, and it's a bad taste to, you know, the work environment that I'm sure everyone there is working in. So I don't know if you guys want to put your 2 cents in for that one as well.
No, I completely agree. I think the ownership group has done a lot wrong this season. This is a good, this is a good sign or a good deed that they've done. Like, I don't feel there are other owners, I think, that wouldn't do stuff like this. There are other owners, I'll just say that much, that probably wouldn't do stuff like this, that would try to brush it under the carpet. So I'm glad that this hasn't been brushed under the carpet. It's been dealt with in a manner that is befitting of what happened. As you said, he's a scumbag, and yeah, he doesn't work for the club anymore. So,
Well, Vic, I think I'm of the belief of innocent till proven guilty. So if they had to go through a whole investigation to figure out what actually happened, if Catalina is, what she's saying is valid and so far and so forth, then I'm all for it, you know? And if they concluded that this was a form of harassment that Tim was his name, I don't remember his name, I don't really care. If this is a form of harassment that Tim actually did, then he needs to be fired. And I think they did the right thing by doing the work of figuring out the investigation and all that stuff.
I believe this incident actually happened when Tom Glick was at Manchester City. So it's not quite like conducting an internal company investigation. They might have had to get into contact with Manchester City, so that might have potentially complicated things. I don't think it happened here, but regardless, he's still guilty of it, and we don't need people like that here. So, totally echo what you guys said.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, I find it. For me in this situation, there's no smoke without fire because I find it odd that he was here. What did it say in the last report? He's been here for 10 months.
10 months.
I find it odd that you brought a guy in when it comes to business from a. You can say what you want about their finances, but they are a successful business or a successful club when it comes to the business side. And you sack him after, or he leaves, quote unquote, after 10 months. I find that odd. Personally, I just find that quite odd. So in this situation, for me, there's no smoke without fire.
Just to confirm as well, the role he resigned from was president of business.
President of business. And I don't think anyone's taken over that role. It seems like Jurassic is taking another role. That was just that story. But I guess we'll find out in the future. But hopefully we get someone that's more suitable for the role and we move on. But on to the next bit of news that I wanted to discuss with you guys is an update on the Badiashile injury. If you guys don't know, Benoit got injured. He injured his groin. That's what was initially reported. It turns out it wasn't a groin. It's a hamstring injury, actually.
Yeah. Surprise.
I'm going to be completely honest, right? And maybe this is me being naive. I don't quite understand how you can get those confused.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was just such a different part of the body. And when it came out that it was a hamstring, I was like, wait.
It's also
how did we?
Not even just that. I don't know how a groin injury feels, but I know how a hamstring injury feels. You know when you've done your hamstring. Like, straight away when you've done your hamstring. So, I just find it odd. Like, it's another thing when it comes to our, like, our not backroom staff, like our physio, like, department or our, like, sort of that side of our, like, department in the club that just doesn't really make sense to me. I don't understand why we keep getting injuries all the time. I don't understand why they're all seem to be always long term. I don't understand why it's not even this. It's a myriad of different injuries. I don't understand why they can't seem to diagnose injuries correctly. Like it's just something I don't understand. I just don't understand it personally.
I mean,
Scott, with what you said about knowing you've done your hamstring when you do it, I'm just looking at his injury history. He's actually done his hamstring a year and a half ago. So that he definitely knows what that feels like if that's what the physios were going off or whatever. Like how he felt and stuff.
And to know, what, like, and Scott nailed it on the head too. Like, part of the reason why I don't really have sympathy much for what's been going on with the whole medical staff overhaul thing happening, it's shit like this. Like, we don't seem to get a good medical staff going. They're getting it wrong. We've had, like, people seem to forget that last season we went through just as many injuries than this season. The only difference is that it came in spurts last season, where this season it came in a big wave, and it was the same medical staff before Bowley came and just completely sacked everyone. So it's shit like this. Like, it's just like, I know it's not I don't think it's the same medical staff, or it might be people who are still remaining from the previous medical staff. This whole medical staff thing is actually confusing.
Wasn't the news that they hired the celebrity medical firm?
Yes.
But then I think they rehired a physio on the request of the players as well.
Yeah. So who knows if this is from the previous guys that they had that the players requested, or if this is the new Hollywood medical team. But it is what it is. I wouldn't judge Mudryk's work ethic for a 30-second video clip. The man's in the gym. It's not the work ethic. It's more so like the maturity levels.
Yeah.
And I could say, like, there are people on the training pitch, and I'm sure, Dark, you can attest to this, and anyone who's really trained in the team can attest to this. There's always going to be those clowns on the pitch that don't take training seriously. Like, they train hard, but they're always fucking around, they're always joking around, and especially when things have to get serious, especially when you're doing drills or something, that maybe it leaves a taste to the manager. It's like, why are you joking around when we're trying to have a very serious training session right now? It could be something like that.
I would say as well, kind of dark, as I mentioned. I'm not saying that he definitely does have a bad work ethic.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I'm saying it more like, as I mentioned, it allows speculation to be there that he might have a poor work ethic. Like, it's the same thing with all the stuff that, the stuff that's happened in the past with certain players where like they just get a bad rep. And then that's one of the things that they could have an amazing work ethic when it comes to training, but the rep they've got like allows for that speculation. So that's what it is for me. I'm not saying he does or doesn't. He might have an amazing work ethic. It's just it's something that allows that speculation. So it's just like, So even if he does, you're almost creating a bad reputation for yourself unnecessarily.
And Yazoo, to respond to your comment here, I think, as much as we want to bash on Lampard and all that stuff, and we'll get to Lampard later on in the show, but I think there is validity to what he says when he came into the club and said that the players aren't fit. Not that they aren't fit, but they aren't fit enough. I feel like under Potter, with all the days off they had, I think they maybe had a more lax training. Maybe they weren't conditioned as much. They're in for a shocker next season when Pochettino comes in, because based on what we're going to be talking about later in the show, Pochettino is going to train him to the ground. He's very much of the mold of Marcelo Bielsa when it comes to training and running hard. And we saw that Leeds team.
He's literally a Marcelo Bielsa student.
Yeah. So
I just want to make a correction.
And that does actually, it add to the injuries, not training hard enough. But go ahead, Oliver.
Just a quick correction to that comment. I don't think it was necessarily that Lampard had replaced training with personal talks. I think what it was reported that he replaced tactics with personal talks. I think that was what the report was at the time.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, again, I'll take any opportunity to shit on Lampard, right? But we've been having these issues under Potter, under Tuchel. Like, I have no idea what it is at this point. As I said, I don't understand it. Like, I fully don't understand it. I don't understand how you can have this many injuries, like season after season after season. I just don't understand. And it's not like it's the same. It's not like it's the same players. It's not the same injuries. They're all long term. Like, all of them seem to be long term. Like every player that gets injured seems to be, whether they have multiple injuries during the season, at least one of those injuries seems to be long term, out for a number of weeks or months. Like, I cannot explain it. I don't know what it is.
And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. It was related to this, but overall with this story, it looks like Badiashile will be back the beginning of the season. So sometime in August or September. Or no, season starts in August, so it would be in August. No surgeries required. It is a hamstring injury, not a groin injury. So, I mean, that's good news at least, but it sucks that he's been out. He's going to be out for this long. He's going to miss most of preseason as well, which is an important time for him, considering Poch is coming in,
I saw did it say start Premier League season or did it say back for preseason? I could have sworn I saw an article that said he was going to be back for preseason.
I thought it was Premier League.
It might be Premier League.
I read he'll be back for the regular season. That's what I read.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm not too worried about him missing the preseason. I mean, we saw him this season, walk into a mess in January. Yeah. And he seems to do quite well. So hopefully Poch is going to get his hands on this squad in the preseason. He'll whip all of them guys into shape and get rid of the ones that aren't required. Hopefully Badiashile can come back in and, fingers crossed, because you never know. Things can always change. He might come back and struggle, but based on the fact that he came into chaos and thrived and looked like one of our most composed players, you can't rule out the same thing happening if he misses preseason. And if so, then fair play to him, because, that's brilliant.
Also, as well, like, in terms of positionally speaking, this is probably the position on the pitch we're most okay in.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
well, that brings me That's
the other
exactly
guys.
what I was going to talk about. That brings me to this next topic, which is Levi Colwill. And the reason I am worried about Badiashile is because he's going to be fighting for his position, I believe, this upcoming season. Let's read a little bit about what Matt Law said about Levi Colwill. Chelsea are absolutely adamant that Levi Colwill will come back to Chelsea at the end of the season and will be part of the squad next season. Now, in the preseason, if you have an injured Badiashile and Levi Colwill, if Levi Colwill gets a starting position, which he most likely will, you're gonna have to fight with Levi Colwill, who is probably not gonna let go by any means, or give the manager any reason to drop him. So
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing, but I guess I should. I mean, I'm just putting the idea out there. We have two really good, potentially really good. I don't know. I want to see Levi Colwill for Chelsea. Really good left center backs. And we know Badiashile is very talented. So with the preseason coming up, that's a time for any player to really prove himself to the manager. Levi Colwill is going to have to take this opportunity to really solidify that position, considering we don't know what's going to happen with Koulibaly. He could go. It's likely he might go. And Badiashile is very talented. He's going to be staying here, and he's got to do better than him. He's got to really impress.
Yeah, I think he can, but again, like I said, I think this is good because, like, even if Badiashile can't, he's good. We've seen what he's capable of, right? He is good enough to be a player here. Even if he can't, like, considering what I've seen of Badiashile, right? If he can't, like, take back his place from Colwill, that just means Colwill was having an unreal season, which is a positive. And, like, even if Colwill was having a bad season and Badiashile can't get his place back, then it shows that the injury has ruined him. So we need to get rid of at that point anyway. So, like, I don't think this is that much of an issue, to be honest, because, like, a rising tide raises all ships. Like, having competition will improve Badiashile. Like, it will help because he's going to want to improve to get better than Colwill or to take that position. Colwill's going to want to improve to get that, to make that position his, this, that, and the other. This is why we've seen before. Like, look at what happened with United with Luke Shaw. He was doing terribly. Yeah. The moment they got competition for him, he stepped up his game. Like, I think for me, that's a little bit of why Reece James has dropped a little bit. I don't think a lot of it is his fault, but I think a little bit comes down to there's no competition. So he's a little bit comfortable at times. I'd argue that was the same for Mount as well. Like, I don't think he had any competition really. So there was a little, like, he got a little bit comfortable. Like, that happens with players. Like, what's the word?
That might potentially happen to soccer.
I can't remember what the word is, but, like, they get comfortable.
Complacent.
Complacent, that's the word. Complacency can set in, like, at times. That's just natural with players sometimes. So competition's a good thing.
Oliver, are you excited for Levi Colwill to come into this team, or do you have high hopes for him as well?
I've only seen clips of him, so I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this player. But from what I've seen, he's very good. From what I've heard, he's very good. The stats back it up. I don't have a problem giving him a chance next season. I mean, it just kind of depends how things go. If Koulibaly's going to get in the way of that, I'd get rid of Koulibaly personally, just based on what I know of Colwill. He could be a very good player for us, so I'd like to give him that chance if possible. And at the end of the day, between him and Badiashile, it's going to be who's playing better at the moment, and that's what we should all care about as Chelsea fans. It's not about sentimentality on academy players and whatnot. It's about who's going to give us the most on the pitch at a given moment.
Fair enough. And I will say, I have to ask, has he earned a starting spot in Brighton? Like, is he a regular starter for Brighton now?
Yeah. Like,
how long has that been going on? Since January, he's been a regular starter?
Yeah, like, it came with he didn't start to begin with. It was Webster and Dunk. Then Webster got injured, and so he had a chance to play, and he made that position his own. And he worked really well with, like, the way De Zerbi wanted to play. And then he came out, like, him and Webster rotated quite a bit, but he still plays a lot. Like, he still plays consistently. Him and Webster tend to rotate, but he still does play.
That's good for him. And you know what? That if I heard correctly, the Brighton fans are a fan of him as well. They want to keep him. Very likely that's not going to happen. But it's to earn a spot in this Brighton team, which is, I think, officially as of today, they're going to the Europa League, right?
Yep.
They're in Europa next season. That's a pretty good look on your CV. I know we were, up in arms about Gahey last season, that was last season, him going, but the season before, thank you. And the thing is, Gahey was doing it in Championship. This guy's doing it in the Premier League.
Oh, he did it in the Championship as well. But
he was doing it in the Championship, and now he's doing it in the Premier League and for a top 5 side now.
And the thing is with Gahey is Gahey was really good. Don't get wrong, he was really good. He did really well.
I'm not trying to deny that. Yeah.
He did really well for Swansea. He's done really well for Crystal Palace, but I would say he hasn't what he's done. I think is not as good as what Colwill's done. When it comes to Premier League in the Championship, he was better than Colwill was. I think personally for me, actually, was he? I don't know. I didn't watch much of Huddersfield. I'll be completely honest, I didn't watch much of Huddersfield. But this season, the transition to the Premier League, I would say Colwill has been better than Gahey. They both were good, but I think Colwill's been better, and I think that just shows the ceiling that he has. And so this is why you can potentially afford to get rid of a couple of guys who, even though they are good, I think Gahey was one that I was annoyed we didn't keep to use in the squad. It was good money we got, but I did want him to play. But now it makes sense because we've got a guy that's better than him.
And how old is Colwill? Does anyone know?
That's a good question. I don't know. Let me check.
Is he 21? 20?
He is 20.
20. Wow, that's really young to be doing that well in the Premier League side. It's impressive. I do have high hopes for this guy. I'm not gonna put all my eggs in a basket and really hope that he's gonna be our next starting LCB, but it's looking good. It's looking good. I can't deny that. Oliver, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say about comparing Colwill and Gahey in the Championship. Yeah. I mean, what Gahey was at Swansea, so just comparing the reactions that I heard from Chelsea fans, comparing how they rated Gahey at Swansea to Colwill at Huddersfield. I personally heard a lot more amazing things about Colwill at Huddersfield, and the fact that I think even this season in the Premier League, like Scott said, he's been playing at a higher level than Gahey. So,
perfect loan too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think Quade. There was a moment. I know it's obviously a moment. There's a clip where, so the Arsenal are playing out from the back, and you've got what's his face? Gilmour, I think, is just sitting on, I don't know if it's Jorginho or Ødegaard, and then the other one of those two picks up the ball, and you just got Colwill just sprints from the defense to just press him and forces him to go backwards. And I'm just sorry? I'm just sorry?
Yeah, I think Gilmour was on Jorginho and Colwill pushed Ødegaard, I think.
I was huh? What?
To answer your question, Chelsea Blue, never. This is Chelsea.
Yeah, never.
We should have our own All or Nothing documentary that goes on every season.
No, I'm good.
I could use the drama in my life. Why not?
I mean, just to conclude on Colwill, though,
yes,
just give him an opportunity. Don't do what Tuchel did in the preseason.
Yes, please.
And send him home to play Bakayoko in preseason.
That's the thing. That's the biggest thing I want to see from this preseason. Anyone that is not going to be here next season, I don't want them in the preseason squad. That's not what fucking preseason's for. Yeah, Tuchel was a good manager, a great manager. He made so many errors, especially that lot this season. The season just gone. Made so many errors with the squad. But yeah, the preseason should be for bringing the guys like Colwill, bringing the guys like Santos if he comes back, Casadei. Put those guys in the preseason squad. Let them see how they perform in and around the first team. Because we saw this is the thing that annoyed me as well with that as well as massive tangent. But you had Gilmour played one preseason game, looked incredible because the difference between him and Gallagher in that pivot was night and day. Because what he was doing that pivot, the scanning before receiving the ball, always looking around, he was doing that where Gallagher wasn't. It's the people that should be in that preseason squad are the guys you are planning to do next season, because the whole point of preseason is to prepare for the season. So why are you putting players who aren't going to be there? What's that preparing them for?
No, I 100% agree. It's just like wasting time at that point. And I was not a fan of Tuchel sending Gilmore back to the training camp, along with I think Broja too, sending him back to London, right?
Yep.
Not
I
having
think
them, not including.
Broja was potentially in negotiations to leave on a permanent
Yeah.
at the time. I think
Yeah,
West Ham were reported as being in for him at the time.
And look, don't get me wrong. I think it was Levi, right? Levi was the one kicking up a fuss in preseason about being guaranteed a starting position, all that stuff. But
it was him and Broja, both of them were doing it.
Yeah.
Because Broja didn't want to sign a new contract. I think we were trying to offer him a new contract and he didn't want to sign it because he didn't think he was going to get minutes.
And then Gilmore was holding us to play me or I don't want a loan, so play me or sell me.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want another loan.
To be fair, like these players do have a right to do that, but at the same time, like I think now, if Levi Cole were to do that now, I could more confidently be like, okay, yeah, no, give this guy minutes, guarantee him minutes, because he's proven himself in the Prem. I was hesitant during the preseason last season, just because it's coming from Championship, and we're talking about Chelsea. We're talking about, at the time, competing to top 4, at the highest level. We didn't know our season was going to end up like this. If it was going to end up like this, then I would have been more inclined to just let the guy play.
But even back then though, would you have taken Kennedy over Colwill in that preseason?
Oh God, no, yeah.
No, that's the point.
I do agree with that. Yeah, with Scott saying like, let's not waste time with these players that are trash. Like, why is Bakayoko in the lineup? Or not Bakayoko? Batshuayi. I'm sorry.
Was it back? No, he was still on loan, wasn't he? I can't remember with him.
Yeah, it was Batshuayi. I remember Batshuayi.
Batshuayi, Kennedy.
Why are we testing Batshuayi? Like, and why is Kennedy here?
The thing is as well though is like, what didn't make sense as well with that, I know this is a massive tangent, but like Kennedy was good in preseason, then we proceeded to sell him. It was like
we brought the kid back from loan.
Yeah, no, I know. We brought him back from loan because he wasn't playing. Played him in preseason. He was good in preseason as a wing back, and then we sold him. It's like, what was the point? Could you not have used him then? If he played well in preseason, just use him. Give him the chance. What the fuck was the point?
There's so many like things that didn't make sense in the preseason, but alas, we move, boys. Let's go ahead and talk about the players' comments about the project. I thought this was a little bit of an interesting tangent. Bring some positivity to the project. I know a lot of this could be, seen as PR, but I would like to believe that some of these players do truly believe that there is a future for them at Chelsea, and there's a positive future going forward for Chelsea. So Wesley Fofana commented, I signed a long contract because I'm in the project. I want to win everything with Chelsea. It's a big club. For sure, I'm here for a long time, and I am very focused to win everything. He told that to Sky Sports News. Again, you could say you could dumb it down to PR, but I truly believe that Fofana, based on how he's played this season, based on if it was my team, I would have appreciated it, but the fact that I was on the other end of it, the fuss he threw with Leicester City to try to get himself a move to Chelsea, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is a fan of Chelsea. This was his boyhood, the club that he's been a fan of since he was a kid, right?
There's a photo of him with a shirt on, but that you can add, you can attach whatever weight to that you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I look, I appreciate the fact that he came out, said this, and that he does want to be a part of the project. He does want to be at Chelsea. And the same thing is going to go for the following, which people have brought up as well. João Felix, he recently did an interview and was talking about, a bunch of things, and it was brought up how he feels about staying at Chelsea and all that. So João Felix confirms he wants to stay at Chelsea. He's coming from Fabrizio Romano. I don't know yet on my future, but I love these months. I would really like to be here. It's a top club. Everyone here has been really good to me. João has added via the Secret Scout. So I know it's kind of funny to hear him say he's loved these months, because these have been the worst months for any Chelsea supporter in the history of Chelsea. But this is a good attitude. It's better than what Romelu was saying when he was here. It's better than anything Ziyech has been saying at all since he's joined the club. Like, I want players that want to be here, and if it means like, look, we have to see what's going on with João because of the price point. Wesley Fofana, I'm all for it. I think there's a very talented player there. Yes, he's still a little raw. You got to remember, there are mistakes in him. You got to remember he's only 22. He's still very young. He might even be younger than that. I'm not sure, but we bought him knowing that he was going to grow into an amazing talent, and people were rating him really highly when he was at Leicester. Probably like one of the best Leicester. One of the. Would you guys say he was the best player at Leicester?
No, he was one of the best young centre backs. He wasn't the best defender at Leicester.
Okay, but regardless, look, I'm. It's good to hear this kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys feel indifferent to it or enjoy seeing it as much as I do.
I do like hearing it, just because like it's a weird one because I like hearing it because on one hand because it is nice to hear that players are actually enjoying being here even after the season they've had, especially with a guy like Felix, because like this is a guy who signed a new contract with Atletico. Like he could easily, I know Simeone's still there, but like he could still easily go back and whatnot, or want to go back, because I know that's happened before where guys have like I can't remember where, but this has happened before at some other clubs where like guys just want to go back, like they know that this is just a loan, they just want to go back to their parent teams. So yes, I think it is good. It's nice here, but at the same time, I do understand kind of the side of like, I just want to like it kind of seems like a bit PR. I do get that side as well.
I mean, I wouldn't say Fofana necessarily has much choice. He signed a 7-year contract.
That is fair.
That's true. Yeah, but he signed it, knowing it was that long. These players like.
But you can't flip flop
negotiation power,
Yeah, but you can't flip flop so easily when you sign death row contracts. Look at Harry Kane.
Yeah, like I don't think Enzo, for example, I don't think Chelsea was Enzo's first choice, right? But at the same time, I think Enzo wanted to play for a top club. I think he wanted to. I want to say he wanted to come to the Premier League, but it's very likely he just wanted to go to one of the like top 5 leagues, right? Being La Liga, Serie A, or whatever, you name it. Is it top 5 or top 4?
Top 5. Well,
top 5, right? Yeah.
Technically top 6 if you want to include Liga.
Okay. Yeah, true. So like for him, I'm sure he really wanted to come to a top Premier League side. Maybe it wasn't Chelsea's first choice, but at the end of the day, he signed a deal knowing it was a 10-year deal, 9-year deal at the time. 9 plus 1, which is crazy. But it's like he's really dedicated to the club, and I think there's a level of professionalism for him too. Yeah, go ahead.
We've activated the +1, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. He's here to what, 2030 something or other. I can't remember.
2033. 2033. 10 years.
Fair play, Fair play, I guess.
But he's great, and I think he will. I think this is what happens to some players too. Chelsea might not be their first choices. Eden Hazard, greatest example here. But it ends up being one of their favorite clubs to play for. He enjoys the time. He learns to love the fans. He learns to love the culture. I can see that happening with Enzo, and I can see that happening with João if he decides to stay, if things work out, and I can see that happening with Wesley Fofana. I don't see it so much with players like Koulibaly. I don't see it so much with. To be fair, I kind of hate to say this because I'm a fan of him, but I don't even see it that much with Kai Havertz, to be honest.
To be fair, though, like kind of going back on what I said a little bit earlier, like I don't necessarily care. Like as long as these guys want to perform while they're here, I don't really care. Like Enzo, this is the thing with like an Enzo is like there is a small part of me that fully realizes he's probably going to leave at some point because that's just who he is. Like
it could be
next season. If he finishes next season with us, that'll be the first full season he's finished with a team. No, sorry, I tell a lie. That'll be the second full season that he's finished with a team, and the first team was a loan. I think. He So the team he went on loan to from River Plate, I think he spent a season with them, or only 6 months or something. I can't quite remember. River Plate, he spent 6 months. Benfica, he spent 6 months. Like I'm fully aware that this is just his ambition, just he wants to do. There is probably in like 3 years' time potentially he moves to a Real Madrid or something. Like there is a small part of me that realizes that. And that's the same with like a few of these guys, with a few of these players. But as long as they perform while they're here, like I don't care, because the way that our scouting system is set up, in theory, you should just be able to replace these guys with other guys once they leave. When a Enzo leaves, a guy like a Kendry Páez can step in, or a Casadei, or a Santos, or whatever. Like theoretically, that's the plan. Whether that pans out or not remains to be seen. But like like I said, as long as they're here and they perform, I don't care.
Fair enough. The next bit of news that I wanted to discuss was not really news. Actually, it kind of is news, but giving Casadei's flowers. So if you guys aren't aware, currently the Under-20s World Cup is happening, and Casadei played his first game, and he scored 2 goals for Italy. I think Italy started the match. No, they were winning the whole time, actually. Brazil almost made a comeback. And mind you, in the Brazilian squad, we had Santos that started. I'm not sure if anyone in the comments know how he performed. Feel free to let us know. But I wasn't able to watch the game.
I saw Felix Johnston was posting about it.
Sure.
I didn't hear anything bad about either of them. Both had good performances from what I heard.
Yeah, Casadei scored a goal in the 27th and a penalty in the 35th. So, I mean, good on him. That's a very good impression that we need these youngsters to make when we see them. Because, how many of those youngsters that we're recruiting, and there's even more, Páez is one of them, and then there's another one we're going to talk about later on the show. How often are we going to see them play, and how often are we going to see them perform, and how often are they going to have a chance to really impress, So, Casadei taking this opportunity, I think it's a really good one. So here we go. Chelsea invested 15 million euros fixed fee plus 5 million add-ons for Casadei last summer to anticipate 3 more clubs happy with his development this year. After positive Reading loan, Casadei has 2 goals and 1 assist on his first game at the U20 World Cup tonight. That's good, dude. That's impressive. And it's against Brazil. No joke. It's not a joke of a team. They won they won the South American under-20s, right?
Yeah, the South American under-20.
Really,
I would not be surprised, by the way, with Casadei if he got a Premier League loan next season. Like, depending on certain clubs where they're at, I would not be surprised if he got a Premier League loan, or at the very least a top of the table Championship loan. So, for example, like, depending on what happens next season with Lavia and things, like if Southampton came in for a loan for him, wouldn't be surprised. If, let's say, Leicester go down and they lose a lot of players, if they go in for a loan for him, would not be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Kept going along, so it didn't involve him much. Okay, so we'll see how Brazil jump back from that. I think how is the World Cup structured? It's similar to the regular World Cup. They have the group stages, right?
No idea.
All right, we'll find out. I'll find out and I'll report in the next show. But all right, let's move on to the next topic. I gave Casadei's flowers. That's good. Chelsea targets that are now gone. So I think this is a little bit of old news, but I didn't really get to touch on it. But we'll see. We'll see what you guys think about this stuff. So let me pull this up right here. And okay, first one is Leao. Leao's not going to happen anymore. So Rafael Leao has now signed a new long-term deal with AC Milan until June 2028. Confirmed. Here we go. All documents finally completed. It will be official soon. 175 million release clause has been included into that contract, and 5 million net salary per season, plus add-ons. This was reported a few weeks back, but we were in the race. Where were we? I don't know. We were interested in Leao. Yeah, we definitely wanted Leao, and there was these negotiations lasted a while, so there was a little glimmer that possibly he may not end up coming to an agreement with Milan, but here we are. And it's a long contract. It's what, 4 years? No, 5 years. It's a 5-year contract. Yeah, so
this doesn't surprise me, to be fair. Like our chance for getting him when the moment we sign Mudryk.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
You don't invest the money in Mudryk if you're then just going to go and sign this guy instead. So yeah, we missed our chance with him, at least for now. We may go back in from later, but if we do, then I think that's a bit of an L personally, depending on when you sign him. Because again, if you have to go in to sign Leao, it means that Mudryk has not panned out in any way, shape, or form to how you expected him to.
I mean, the only alternative, us buying Mudryk, the only way we can buy Liao at the same time is if we did what we were planning to do when we were interested in the summer and use him as a striker. But that's not his best role. He's a fantastic dribbler. So it makes sense, like Scott said, we bought Mudryk to be the big potential winger. So let's put our stock in him until we see otherwise.
He's making it really hard to put stock on him right now, but sure.
Well,
he might have an amazing season next season. Who knows? Like he might have an amazing season.
Who knows? But hey, man, be a little bit more mature, Mudryk. That's the other player that we lost out on potentially. I don't think it's official yet, but it looks like it's gonna be a here we go very soon. Alexis McAllister is going to be a Liverpool player. Chelsea were interested, but they were waiting until the end of the Premier League. This is coming from Gaston Duel. I don't know if this is here we go yet, but it's just about to be a here we go, isn't it?
I'm just going to put this out there. I don't think we missed out on McAllister, to be honest. Like, I don't think he suits I don't think he fits. I don't think we need him. Like,
okay, I think that's fair.
We don't need another number 10 when we've got Nkunku coming in. We are potentially bringing Felix back on loan. We've got Kai Havertz who apparently can play there.
He can play as a DM. That's the thing, though, with McAllister.
No,
he played well as a DM this season.
He played the pivot, but not as a
I was going to say,
DM.
Oh, okay, in the pivot, yeah. That's
I was going to say, he would do the Enzo role. The only time he's played as a DM was under Potter, and even then it wasn't a DM, it was like in the Jorginho role, it was like a deep line playmaker. Like he was the base of a diamond, basically. So he wasn't a DM as such, he was just the one of he'd be the one to start the attacks basically from midfield.
Yeah. Keyshawn, I cannot answer this. I don't know.
Because no one wants him because he's shit.
Yeah. Which we will get to about a certain player about not being wanted. But guys, be sure, if you haven't done so already, smash that like button. It does help out about 54 of you here. It would help out tremendously with the algorithm and just getting the channel out there. Okay. Okay, so we have another part that I wanted to discuss, which is some new targets and potential, no, not even potential, actual signings that we've made. So let's go ahead and discuss this. Let's see. All right, here we go. So, new targets. We understand that the 3 Chelsea scouts are watching Sporting versus Benfica. This was tweeted 3 days ago. Manuel Ugarte and Gonçalo Ramos, which was Gonçalo, thank you. Gonçalo Ramos are players on the agenda. Gonçalo Ramos, if I'm not mistaken, was the Portuguese player that scored the hat-trick in the World Cup.
Yeah, around 16.
He was the guy that everyone wanted to play instead of Ronaldo, came on, and then proceeded to show why he should have played over Ronaldo.
Yeah, pretty much. Good scouting so far.
And
I do like these players.
I say proceeded to... He did it in the Champions League as well. I think he got a hat-trick in the Champions League. Literally, So the game... I don't know who they played. It was the game before the Inter game. Whoever they played before Inter, I can't remember who it was. I think he scored a hat-trick or a brace.
In the knockouts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they beat someone. It might have been Club Brugge.
It was Brugge.
In terms of the team, but I'm pretty sure they won 5-1. I think he got 2 or a hat-trick. So he's been on a nuts.
He got two.
Yeah. So we understand it is final scouting report in Portugal for this season. They will send them to Winstanley and Stewart. Continued. Chelsea scouts have finished scouting Romeo Lavia for this season, with the last game watch being last week. Joe Shields wants Lavia, but Chelsea scouts notice some deficiencies. We understand Lavia is still on the short list, but the scouting reports may put him back a bit, depending, of course, just how much Winstanley, Stewart, Shields, Poch will take the advice of the scouts. Let me continue on to other bits of news. And to be transparent here, I have not seen Ugarte play, but I've heard good things about him. And considering he's coming from this Porto side, I'm sure he's a good player. This Porto side is
Sporting.
I'm sorry. Sporting side. They've done relatively really well in this season. Did they win the Liga NOS? I don't think they won it. Or is this still a race in...
That was last season, not this season. Benfica won it this season, I think.
Gotcha. Chelsea are the new option for Manuel Ugarte. The belief is that Chelsea will be amongst the bidders, with Chelsea ready to step in and challenge Liverpool and Aston Villa. Jorge Mendes, a close partner of Todd Bowley, is in charge of Ugarte's future. Here we understand this month Chelsea. Okay, we already no, this is different. Contacted Jorge Mendes and his team at Gestuve to register interest. Chelsea have plenty of options. Pochettino will have a big say. So that's good. This is good links. I don't mind it, especially since we need midfielders.
I want him so much.
Ugarte?
I want him so much. Yeah, like I want him so much. He's like,
is he a DM or an 8?
No, he's a DM. He's a 6. He mainly plays in a double pivot with that Japanese guy Mauricio that they have.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I watched him against Arsenal and he was quality in both games. I've seen a little bit of him there, here and there. I've seen the highlights of the Benfica game, and he was quality in that. Like, not even just like a few. It was like the driving runs as well. Like he has that in him. He's obviously defensively solid. I think he's definitely got the most tackles per 90 in the Liga NOS. I don't know. I want to say it's the same in the Europe's top 5 leagues. I think I could be wrong about that. Correct me if I am wrong. But yeah, like he's a quality player. Like. And yeah, having him and Enzo next to each other, I think perfectly complements each other. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to get him in. This would actually be sick as well. Like if you can complete that, then midfield is sorted. If you can do that right and get rid of Gallagher, Mount, like if Kovacic goes as well, and your midfield options for next season are like Kante. So obviously you need to sign him to a new contract, but like Kante, Caicedo, Ugarte, Enzo as the 4 guys, and then maybe like a depending on what they want to do with Santos or Casadei, like having one of them as a 5th option potentially, like that's sorted for next season.
That sounds like a really strong midfield. I'm not going to lie. We have other news here regarding this youngster. Chelsea are preparing to step up their interest in 18-year-old Gambia striker Adama Boyang. He's been prolific for his club, Steve Biko FC. Where the fuck is that?
Bro, that's what I was laughing at. I saw his team name. I was like, what the fuck?
That is a crazy team name.
To be fair, bro, the African team names are nuts. There's the other. I know this is a massive tangent. We might speak about him later. Yeah. But another guy we're looking at, Gift Orban. He used to play for a team called Bison FC.
Bison FC. Okay.
Steve Biko is in Gambia.
Okay, it's in Gambia. Yeah, I figured as much. But he would struggle to get a work permit. Should Chelsea pursue on transfer, they plan to loan him out. I mean, I will hope so. See, 18-year-old doesn't even striker. Okay, 18-year-old striker. We'll see.
We are like stockpiling young strikers. We got him. We got that young Jamaican kid. We've got. We're looking at Gift.
Whisper. Yeah, I forgot
at the moment. Like we are fucking stockpiling young strikers at the moment.
There's another one here. What's going on? All right, Yusuf Fofana, right? If it is the right opportunity or moment to leave, I can't say. I have already played with top players, but if one day I played with more big names, then it will be a pleasure and mean I have performed well. And I forgot what position he plays, but I know he's in Monaco, right?
Yeah, he's a midfielder, I think.
Okay, gotcha. Don't know how old he is either. Don't know anything about this one.
He's 24.
He's the guy. I'm not saying this is necessarily like good, bad, or whatever. It's just an interesting fact. He was the guy who replaced Kante in the World Cup squad.
Oh shit! Okay,
he was either the guy who replaced Kante or the guy who replaced Pogba. I think.
Okay, I didn't even know he was in the World Cup squad.
We didn't
That's
play.
good for him. Yeah.
That's why I said it's not necessarily
sure. That's why. Yeah.
Positive, negative, whatever.
It was Tchouaméni and what's his name, Rabiot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's about it.
On the youth stuff too. I mean, it's very clear that Chelsea want to buy, or Todd Bowley wants to buy these youth players, young, exciting players, and potentially see what they have to offer for the club. And if it's nothing, then sell them off for a higher price, because there will always, I think there's gonna be hype around a lot of these players. I'm sure there are other. We've been buying players that other teams have been scouting. When it comes to the youth, so it's not like we're in the market for just any random youth player that sounds appealing to our scouts. These scouts are also rated by other teams. So I think obviously there's only so much room in the squad, and there's only so many of these scouts or these youngsters that are going to make it through. And if the ones that don't end up profiting Chelsea and we can sell them off to a good bid, then I'm all for it. I'm not bothered by this at all.
No, me neither. I think I've said this to you privately, Marshall. It's just like it's a great idea in theory, but it's kind of like you need to see it to believe it. Like, because it does kind of feel like, damn, we are stockpiling a lot of these youth players, like Scott said. Yeah,
true, and we definitely do need to see what's going to happen with that. That being said, on the
sorry to interrupt. I'm having another we signed that young striker from Southampton, and then proceeded to like break his leg within a few days of being here. I just thought of another one fucking side.
No.
Jesus Christ!
Ringing a bell. I forgot about that. It's not...
It's like Jimmy Morgan or something like that.
Jesus Christ!
Jimmy J Morgan or something.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not ringing a bell for me.
Oh, and then we've got Farner.
Yeah, Datro. Yeah, Davidson.
Bro, we have
almost a lot of youth
strikers. We'll almost have enough young strikers to fill the whole 11.
Yeah, we probably do, to be honest. I think we do.
All 10 outfield players, young strikers, all of them. But whoever's the quickest at wing backs or on the wing, whoever's defensively minded enough can press as like centre backs or full backs, like fucking nuts.
Yeah, we're really going in, and it's not going to be the last one. I'm sure come the end of the summer transfer window, which that's what we're going to be discussing right now. I'm sure there's going to be so many youngsters that are involved with the team. So let's bring this up. So here's some details regarding the summer window. Summer window will open Wednesday, June 14th, and will close on the 1st of September. Chelsea will only have 2 weeks from the start of the window to confirm sales that will be put on this season's accounts. That's mad. That's actually wild, because we have to get rid of a lot of players. And they're only going to have 2 weeks to get all that paperwork done. I'm sure like they're solidifying the deals, like, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which we're going to discuss briefly. I'm sure they're solidifying all those deals behind closed doors right now. But still, that's a lot of work that has to get done. And do you guys worry that it might actually not get done?
Yeah. It's not an ideal situation, but like you said, they'll be working on these things now. We heard it with Ruben. There might even be things that we haven't heard about yet. The journos don't pick up on everything.
Is this real? That we can apply for a grace period?
At the end of the but not in terms of the accounting, but you can apply for a grace period at the end of the window if you can submit paperwork to show that you're in the negotiation stage. You can I believe didn't we do this with Enzo? Didn't we apply for the hour extension over midnight? Right?
Yes. Yeah, you can, as long as you put you fax you fax the transfer sheet, I want to say it's called. Yeah, you get that grace period. But yeah, with this, it doesn't, I can't lie, this news doesn't make me worry about selling players anymore. Like, I think we'll still sell players. I don't think we necessarily need to sell all of the players within this period. Like, I think if we sell a couple of players in this period, as long as we make sure we hit the targets we need to for FFP or whatever, and the other players can go after this period. Also, the more I think about it with FFP, right, especially with where we're at the moment, I almost like for the first couple of windows, don't really care if we don't meet FFP, because Man City is showing it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, at least to begin with. Like, if we start doing this like month on month, or window, then fair enough. But like, I don't really think it matters all that much.
I think it's a 3-year monitoring period.
Oh, that's fair. But like, even with that, like, Man City have only just had these charges with the financial thing recently, and it's 115. You can't be telling me that's happened in 2 years or a year or 3 years. Sorry, that's happened over multiple years. The more I think about it, because I saw someone tweet about this the other day, and I was like, I kind of agree. Like, I don't necessarily care if we hit FFP or not.
I think for me, it's about
even if we get ramifications. I feel like the most we'll get. I think I saw it reported that like because this will be our first time, I want to say, for like first time offence, you get like a fine and that's it.
Yeah,
it's like
this is what people confuse a lot. A lot of people think that the transfer ban in 2019 was due to FFP. It wasn't. It was due to youth player shenanigans.
Yes, it was the same thing as what Barcelona got banned for, as well.
Oh, okay. You learned something new.
Yeah, you know that season where they signed Arda Turan and Vidal, not Arturo, the other one. Yeah, that season they were banned for 6 months, because of the same thing we did in terms of like to do with like players under the age of 16, I think, or something, or under the age of 18 or something or other.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens, and I'm hoping the club are doing the work right now to make sure we get that. I mean, you could be right. They are Scott. They might not care for FFP. But at the same time, there are players who need to go, and I think
with the FFP, it's just about trying to make. If we are going to be over that threshold, just try and make it as little egregious as possible. Don't make it like we're $1 billion over that threshold. Like
Try to close that gap.
Yeah. If you're over it by the odd percentage, then fair enough. But don't make it like ridiculous.
Yeah. Also, I can't lie. Just in general, just on the window, I actually don't have any worries about the window in general when it comes to incoming, outgoings at all. Of the summer, that's probably the area I have least amount of like worry over, because I think we've seen it with these owners and with the network we have, that when it comes to incomings, they're doing their due diligence on signings, and for the most part, they'll always try and get a good deal. And we've seen in the summer that when it comes to getting rid of players, they will do whatever they can to get rid of some players, whether that means taking a cut price, whether that means terminating contracts. Like, I've actually got no worries about this summer. Like, even with the guys we bring in as well, like whether we get a Caicedo, a Lavia, a Ugarte, or whatever, even strikers, whether we get a Osimhen, a Ramos, whoever, like I actually have no worries like about the window, just none.
And to continue on to that point, regarding what we were talking about earlier, just a moment ago, with not really caring about the FFP. If that's the attitude Bowley's going to go in with, then it is very likely that we do sell these players at discounted prices and lose out on money that's going to count, towards our FFP. But we will at least be closing that gap a little. And if that's the approach Bowley's going to take, then kudos. Because I remember last week when we talked about this, they only want to loan out players that are part of the plan, and they want to sell players that they don't see a future at Chelsea. That includes players like Lukaku and so on and so forth. So, hey, if we can sell them, even if it means taking a cut, then.
But even with the selling though, like on the FFP thing, like Jacob Huggins is right. I think we need to make 90 million player sales, which if the report is correct that I saw for Loftus-Cheek that he's going for 15, 20 mil, like that's what 70, 75 mil you need. That's a Mount, or that's a Gallagher plus one extra, which you can do that quite easily. Yeah. So like this is the thing. I'm not worried at all about the window when it comes to outgoing, because like if they've made it clear as well with some players, if they don't want them here, they're not going to be here. Lukaku was made very clear that like it wasn't going to work out. He didn't want to be here. They didn't want him here. He went. Like Aubameyang, he came in. They decided they didn't want him. He hasn't played, and he's going to leave in the summer because they don't want him here. So like, I just have no worries especially when it comes to outgoings, because like as well, you'll be able to find a club to sell, like to get rid of these players too. Like, did anyone think that before the window started in the summer that Marcos Alonso was going to go to Barcelona? No.
Oh God, no.
Did anyone think that Nice was going to? I'd say, did anyone think that Nice was going to come in for Ross Barkley after we terminated his contract? No. Like, you'll be able to find a club to get rid of these guys too.
Fair enough. All right, let's continue on to the next half. But before we go ahead and continue, guys, make sure you are smashing that like button. Nearly 70 of you guys watching. It does help out the channel tremendously. Let's talk about this little bit of first bit of mayhem that we got to talk about with this hectic week is the Vlahovic bid. Not sure how this happened and how information got spun, but earlier in the week, we had Julian Laurence, who is typically a pretty reliable source, saying that Chelsea are in for Dusan Vlahovic. I'm told someone I am told by someone Chelsea are in for Duhan Vlahovic. They made an offer already for him. And you guys already know, if you watched the channel previously, that I do rate Vlahovic, and I do think he be a great striker. Does he fit the Chelsea mold? Maybe not, but I'm being a little biased, and I kind of feel like we could make it work. Fabrizio Romano, understand Chelsea haven't sent an 80 million euro bid for Dusan Vlahovic as of now. He's one of many strikers appreciated by the club, but no bids or talks. Bayern and Man United remain in race for Vlahovic, but still waiting for the Juve decision. I think that's all the tweets I have. Oh no, I have more. Let's go ahead and continue then. Italian football agent Massimo Brambati. There are 3 teams that showed up for Vlahovic. In my opinion, Juve will take these offers seriously. All of them have an important profile because they're Chelsea, Bayern, and Atletico Madrid. What happened?
I said that last one's surprising. Atletico Madrid are surprising.
Yeah, I didn't expect Atletico Madrid to be in that.
Unless they're going to get rid of Morata, like, I find that surprising.
And then, Chelsea have made Duhan Vlahovic their number 1 target for the summer, have made an 80 million offer for the striker, sources have been told. That was earlier, yeah. So this is the tweet that Julian Laurens had made before. So Fabrizio Romano came out and said that no bid has been made yet. No offer's been made. But we're very interested. But 80 million euros for Dusan Vlahovic. How do we feel about that, boys? Because personally, me, I think it's a lot, but I really think this player is a good player. I just don't think he's gonna fit to Chelsea mold. I think it sucks. I hate to say it, but I think he's another profile striker, very target manny. Not mobile, not very versatile. And someone said this earlier in the week. If you want a striker like Vlahovic, you might as well just go for one that's prem proven in Mitrovic. And on top of that, too, like, Vlahovic hasn't had the most brilliant season at Juve. So, but I don't know.
I think he's been good for a majority of the time poor Juve team.
Sure.
And I think I think he's improved a lot of his aspects of his play. Like, I've seen some clips of him from this season. Like, he looks like his hold-up play is a lot better, or not his hold-up play, but like his link-up play, his ability to drop deep, which I don't necessarily care about, but like that is still good to see. Like, I think he's starting to like expand his game a bit more. Because I think when he was at Fiorentina, when he was banging in goals, I think he was very much like a traditional number 9. He didn't really press, he didn't really link up. It was mainly just like kind of a Lukaku type, sort of similar, or like a Mitchell type. But I think
don't want to say Lukaku, but yeah,
I think he is rounding his game, or starting to fill his game out a little bit more. 80 mil, I think, is too much, but at the same time, like, this is the problem with the market now; it's inflated. Like, Osimhen's not worth 150 mil, but to Napoli he is, because they signed him for 70, and he I don't know if he has, but he probably will win the I don't know what it's called in Italy, but the Golden Boot, like, just to help them win a league title. So like, I get it. Same way, like, they signed Vlahovic for 50, 60 mil, I think. So they're gonna want to make like their money back on that at least. So like, I understand, and I think he fits. Like, I think he's the profile in terms of age. Yeah, I think the profile in terms of age. I think, again, the thing for me is I don't think like we necessarily need like someone who's going to be an all-round complete striker next season, especially with having like an Nkunku or Felix in the 10. I think we need someone who's going to be a bit more of a traditional number 9. It's just a bit more, has a little bit more to their game than Lukaku did. Because like Lukaku was like bare bones in terms of like, apart from goal scoring, there was nothing there. There's literally nothing there apart from goal scoring, whereas Vlahovic is a little bit more well-rounded. Like, there's a little bit more to his game. I'm not saying like he's Lewandowski or Benzema, but there's a bit more to his game.
I mean, there was a point where like he was in the same discussion as Haaland when he was in Fiorentina. Like, he's a really impressive striker from what I've seen. He does remind me a lot of like the traditional strikers I used to see in the Premier League, like the Drogba-esque striker, like just shoot the ball, great shooting power. Which, you know, we have Kai Havertz. We haven't seen great shooting power in freaking ages. But I really like this guy. I think he could do well. I don't know. Like, I guess I would have to see more of his recent games to see how he's evolved his gameplay, like you say, Scott. And I'm sure he has, and that would be great because, you know, we can't just have another Lukaku. I don't want that to happen again.
I also think as well that, like, the one thing I'm not going to do with Vlahovic is use last season or use his poor performances for Juve to like go against him, because we've seen when it comes to Juve and with other players as well, like sometimes the fit isn't there, or sometimes when it comes to Juve, like it's just not working. Kulusevski was one that left. Like obviously he's not been as good this season, but last season he left and lit up the Premier League when he came, and it's like he was doing nothing for Juve.
To give people some a little bit of a light on this, just to give you the stats: 42 games this season, and Vlahovic has scored 14 goals and 4 assists.
That's not too bad. And as I said, this has been
not terrible.
Like a largely bad Juve team. Like,
yeah.
From everything I've heard, like the last third to a quarter of the season, they've started to play a bit better, but for the majority of the season, it's been bad. Like
he's
really
also
bad.
He's also to be honest, guys, you got to remember he's also 23. He's not like Lukaku's age, that like, you know, not prem proven, but like, you know, prime age for a striker. Like there's still room for improvement at 23. But to do what he was doing at Fiorentina at 21, 22 is really impressive. You know, it could be that he comes to Chelsea and it works out. You know, Oliver, I don't know if you wanted to add on to this or what your feelings are in Vlahovic.
Yeah, like, that was the point I was going to make. I think he's definitely a much more coachable player than, you know, a Mitrovic in his late 20s, a Lukaku who's just turned 30. If you're going for short term, then by all means get Mitrovic, but it clearly doesn't seem to match with the direction of the club, trying to buy a more younger type of squad for Poch. I think it would make more sense for Vlahovic, try and coach some of these things into him. I mean, you see it with Mudryk now. Yeah, Mudryk doesn't press and all that. He's not got the work rate fully up there, but, you know, he's young. We've invested in that. And, you know, we hope that Poch is going to come in, improve the fitness and teach these guys how to press and set the standard at that point where if you don't press, then you're not in the team. So, I mean, I'm not going to act like an expert on Vlahovic. I've not even watched the full 90 of him, can't lie. But, you know, I think it would be a better move than bringing back Lukaku or buying Mitrovic.
100%. I 100%
or buying Mitrovic.
Yeah. I don't think Mitrovic would be a good buy personally. Just on him, like he is prototypical traditional number 9. Like he's not doing anything but being in the box, like scoring. Like his apart from hold up play, like his link up play isn't great. Like his ability to run the channels, I'm not massively like. He's literally like old school traditional number 9, which works in the right team, 100%. But I don't think it works with what we want to do. That's why I said like we need a number 9 who's a little bit more well-rounded.
Gotcha. On the topic of number 9, there's a few number 9s that have come up in discussion recently, and I'm going to go through these tweets and let's go over some of these choices and see how we feel on it. So starting with our boy, Ivan Toney. Okay. Official. Brentford striker Ivan Toney has been suspended from all football and football-related activity with immediate effect for 8 months. That brings him all the way to, I believe, March of next season. No?
No,
Wait,
he's
no, it'd be January.
So he can train. What it is he can train with, whether it's with Brentford or whether he gets sold this summer, he can train with his club from September, but he can't play until January.
Yeah. This whole ban thing. This is I just want to say sorry. This is the funniest shit that I've ever seen. By the way, not like the ban itself, like or the other ramifications in terms of like how long he's been bad for compared to other bans. I'm just talking about this instance in a vacuum. They banned him for 8 months, and as Oliver said, he can't train until September, which is basically when the Premier League season starts. So you just gave him an extended holiday for 3 months.
Pretty much.
You literally just gave him a 2-3 month holiday. Like, well done. And then, as I said, he literally just can't play until January, so he just has to miss 3 months of the season.
Absurd.
Hang on, September, October, November, December. Sorry, he misses 5 months of the season, which is shit. But he comes back in January. And knowing Toney, he's going to come back with a vengeance. So it's like,
probably
you might as well have banned him from September. At least then he would have missed the whole season. But no, not fucking the fairs.
He has also been fined with a £50,000 and warned as to his future conduct for breaches of the FA betting rule. I believe also the FA, I think, is fighting to extend the ban as well. I don't know if that's been sealed or
to worldwide. They were trying to extend it to the whole world, because right now it's just England.
I thought you were meant to extend it in the length. I was about to say, fuck right off.
Brentford are set to open contract talks with Ivan Toney at the end of the season, despite his betting ban. Owner Matthew Benham had been planning to listen to offers for Toney this summer, and the valuation was in excess of £50 million, coming from Matt Hughes. Let's continue on with the other strikers real quick. Osimhen. We've been linked with Osimhen a lot, so let's talk about it. Simon Jones reporting: Chelsea scouts watched Napoli's 130 million pound rated striker Victor Osimhen on Sunday during Monza's surprise 2-0 win over the Italian champions. They probably weren't playing their best side. Chelsea lining up a move for Napoli's Victor Osimhen, but appointment of Pochettino not necessarily going to be enough to keep Mason Mount. Don't know what that had to do with Osimhen, but let's continue. We have here Bob Vincent. Yeah, Chelsea are considering making a big money move for Victor Osimhen in the summer transfer window. A source has said Chelsea are not put off by Napoli's stubborn stance about the player not being for sale. We move on to more Osimhen news from Florian Plattenberg. This is actually very recent. So Chelsea is still pushing. They want him as their new striker. He's top of the list. Understand there are price expectations about 110 million euros plus bonus at this stage. But Chelsea has to sell players first, and De Laurentiis wants more and at least 150 million euros. Problematic for Chelsea. No Champions League next season as well. That is problematic. The next player I wanted to discuss, which was brought up, I was surprised with this one. Chelsea are looking at Ferran Torres and like that he can play wide on either side or as a striker. Blue Scouts have been taking a close look at him, and he's on our radar. Nothing is advanced or moving forward for him. I don't see him as a priority. This is coming from Simon Phillips. So, I mean, you have that too, at least.
Just another Havertz, man. I can play anywhere across the front three. Oh my!
Oh, he's not even a Havertz. He's a fucking winger. They showed it at City, he's shown it at Spain, and he's shown it at Barcelona. He's not a fucking striker. He didn't come up as a striker. He didn't play as a striker at all until we went to City, and he only played there because they had no one else. It didn't really work. It was the best of a bad few options.
You guys really don't like this guy.
It didn't work for Spain. Didn't work for fucking what are they called? Barcelona either. Fuck me. I don't think he was signed anyway, and I don't see why this was reported because this is such a nothing story. But just because it's being reported, I just gotta say this is a fucking stupid idea. Jesus Christ.
If you want to bad take emoji in the chat.
Hey, Sean's right, by the way. Apparently Alvarez is. There are reports, don't know how true. That Alvarez is not all that happy in Manchester. Just go and get him. He's so much better and can do the same thing. And he's an actual striker who can play.
If Julian Alvarez were to leave Manchester City, and I know it's such tough competition there, he is a really good striker. I would love to have Alvarez in the team as a striker. We'll give you guys Havertz, Man City.
No, actually, do you know what? I'd happily do a swap. I know they don't play the same position, but I'd happily involve a deal with Kovacic for Alvarez if there's something you can do there.
Oh, yeah.
That is something I would happily do. If there's something you can do there.
That'd be great. But, okay, so Ferran Torres out of the picture. I guess you guys are right. He hasn't really shined bright very much at Barcelona. Really haven't heard anything about him since he's left. He's not, light up the stage or anything. And it stinks too, because like when I did see him at Man City, he had some decent games and he was playing decently when he had his opportunities. But it doesn't seem like it's translated over to the Liga.
It's not even just that. Like, none of what I'm saying is based on him as a player, based on him as a footballer, his ability, form, nothing. From a tactical standpoint, he's not a striker. So what's the point?
Yeah. As for the other options, Osimhen and Toney, thank you. I drew a blank there. If I were to go for Toney, I would probably wait until January, to be honest. There's no point in working out a deal in the summer if he's not going to be here. Maybe he trains under Poch kind of thing, but I don't know. And also, are we sure that ban is going to last only until January? What's to say it's not going to get extended by something? What's to say the gambling thing doesn't come back to bite us in the ass and he ends up doing more stuff that's immature and jeopardizes his career? I have my hesitations with him. I don't have my hesitations with him as a player. I think he's a fantastic player. He would do really well at Chelsea and would suit us, but his behavior off the pitch is what makes me a little hesitant. As for Osimhen, I don't know. I'll be honest. This might be a hot take. I'm not convinced with Osimhen. He's giving me very much Darwin Nunez vibes, and I feel like with Napoli, from what I've seen, I feel like that team. I feel like not enough people talk about Kvaratskhelia or Cravadona, whatever you want to call him. I feel like he's the real star of that show, but Osimhen's taking the limelight. I don't know if you guys agree, if that's really a hot take. I don't know.
I think they've both had the limelight this season. To be fair, Kvaratskhelia, from what I've heard, I haven't watched Napoli much this season, but especially this last half of the season, I've not seen anything of them. But I hear he's not been as good. I think the problem we've got with this striker market is there are a lot of strikers out there. The striker market itself is quite large, but I think that with quite a few of the strikers, there are concerns. Like the choice you've got is imperfect, because like you've got Toney, there's the ban, and you wonder what's going to happen when he comes back. Osimhen, he's a good player. He's not worth that price. No striker in world football right now currently is worth that price, apart from Mbappe and Haaland.
And can I also add, Scott, before you continue, the price tag that Osimhen's at right now, the way I think about it too, is you're essentially saying that this player is worth this almost the same amount Haaland was when he was on the market from Borussia Dortmund. Except Haaland was showing me a lot more then than what Osimhen has shown me in this one season.
Yeah, like that's the thing, is like, because the problem is with that, it's how much he's not worth that, but he is to Napoli. And it's like, that's the thing, is I don't think us paying that means we think he's worth that. It's more we think he will be a difference maker for the team. It's just that's the price you have to pay. But yeah, if you go for a guy like Ramos, that means dealing with Benfica again. If you go for a Vlahovic, there are concerns in terms of style of play, or people will have concerns with the form and whatnot. As I said, for me, that doesn't personally bother me. But yeah, the striker market is wide, but also imperfect at the same time.
Yeah,
and I think that's you kind of got to weigh up the options and find the balance. Like for me personally, I've said this before. Like I am more than happy pay that money for Toney and just chill, or not chill, but like make do until January. I'm fine with that happening. If it means we get Toney, and I know come January for the rest of the season I get to watch him play, I will put up with watching a mixture of Havertz or Brozier or Nkunku as the number 9 next season for 5 months. I'm calm with that. I will accept that if it means then from January onwards we get Toney in this team, because for me he's him. He's that guy. Like he is him.
I agree.
My opinion, but I get like why people exit.
I'm inclined, like if it had to be between these three options, these seem to be like the hottest targets at the moment. And when I say hot, I mean like the ones that seem like there's movement happening and things might actually happen. I'm inclined to go with Toney, just because, like, okay, if I have to suffer with Havertz, Broja, and who knows, like, again, under Poch, these players actually could perform. I'm not gonna hold my breath on Havertz, but he could perform. We never know. Then I'm willing to just deal with that until January, and then we'll see what happens with Toney. And if you're telling me I get the Toney from Brentford for Chelsea, I'm all for it. For the rest of the season, I'll hold off until January. Oliver, what are your thoughts?
On the striking situation, right?
Yeah, on these options that we were just discussing. Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to getting Toney for, despite the ban. I mean, we kind of we'd have to make do, but it is what it is. I'm kind of in agreement with Scott. I think he is definitely that guy. I think it's just up to the club on how they feel about his off-the-field activities. That's where they've got to do their due diligence and kind of figure out where he's at. Is he going to move past that? What's his character like? I mean, that's sort of things that we can't necessarily talk about. That's more important to the club. But I mean, overall, as a player, I'd happily take that risk of half the season missing out him, and maybe try someone else there in the meantime.
As I said, like,
go on, Scott.
Sorry, if you just have to play Nkunku there, like I think Nkunku works better as a 9, as a 10 rather than a 9. But I'd be willing to, sacrifice his game a little bit. I still think he can perform that, but sacrifice his game a little bit. Maybe go, like, if we get Felix on a loan, go him and Felix as the 9 and 10 respectively, to then have that as of January, as I said, like to then have you move Nkunku back to the 10 potentially, or you keep Felix there and Nkunku moves to the bench and you put Toney in.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Just don't fall in love with the idea of Nkunku as a striker if it bangs.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next topic we're going to talk about is more goalkeeper news. I'm glad that there's goalkeeper news happening because I don't want to neglect that position. I think we've neglected it for long enough, and it's definitely a position that we should be looking to replace. So, all right, first thing is one of the interested clubs is going to meet Emiliano Martinez's agent in the next few days. Those clubs are between Spurs, Chelsea, and Manchester United. This is coming from Gaston Duel. Like you guys may have known from previous shows, I actually do rate Emiliano Martinez. I think he'd be a good signing, especially we discussed this with Alex, that you can have him for now until Slolina is ready and developed, and then Slolina takes over that spot slowly. So it'd be a good transition period. Another bit of news we have for Edouard Mendy. Tottenham has emerged as surprise contenders to sign Edouard Mendy. Mauricio Pochettino is also aiming to trim the squad down around 24 or 25 players. This is coming from Andy Dillon. Mendy, who has not been great, we'll take any bid for him, please. He should go. He does not. I don't think he merits the wages he's asking for. And speaking of the wages that he's asking for, we have Kepa. Nazar Kinsella saying on the London's Blue podcast, Chelsea have been trying to sell Kepa almost every transfer window. Oh, wow, that's sad. The only clubs that can afford to buy Kepa are the 5 richest English clubs, Real Madrid and PSG. I don't think any club will pay Kepa what Chelsea are paying him.
Oh, man. He's our De Gea, man. Like, he's fully our De Gea.
Yeah.
Done.
That's so funny because he's Spanish, too. It's really...
Yeah, I know. It's ironic. But, like... This is one of the stupidest deals we've ever done. The stupidest moves we've ever done as a football club. This like, I honestly would put this on par with the Lukaku one. For in terms of what it's costing us, what it's costing us, the downgrades, what the fuck, man.
Sucks. It sucks. Genuinely sucks. I mean, just rip the contract. I wish it was that simple. But hearing this was just so depressing to hear. Like, God damn it! Even if we wanted to get rid of him, no one can afford him.
No, that's the thing. And like, I know I said earlier, like they're willing to get rid of people like whatever way, but there comes a point with some players where like it doesn't make sense. Like he's one where it doesn't make sense, considering the money you're paying him or the money you signed him for. Things like that. It's like you can't really afford to just let him walk on a free. That's just such stupid, like, just from a business perspective, a financial perspective, that's really stupid. Like, it's kind of same with like Havertz in a way. Like, you can't really just release him or try like just get like 10 mil for him. Like, that's really bad business. You kind of have to get a decent fee for him because of what you paid for him. Like, what the fuck, man.
As for like, the other goal,
the thing is, just sorry, none of all the teams I mentioned, obviously. With Nizar, I don't know how reliable he is because there are some stuff
he's been very 50-50 lately. Yeah,
but it's like, even with those clubs, right? Say this is true, and those clubs, none of those clubs are taking Kepa, man. So like, we're stuck with him unless he reduces his wages, which I don't see why he would. What the fucking?
If he loves Chelsea, he'll reduce his wages.
It's not even that, bro. It's not even that. Like, why would you reduce your wages? Like, why?
It does. You know what? This also makes me see him in a different light. Like, I know he's been like a good sport and all that. Like, I remember last season when he wasn't playing, and whenever he did get the chance to play, he wouldn't complain. He would be professional and all that stuff. But now that I think about it,
man's getting paid.
At the wages he's at, like, I'd be pretty respectful. I'd just shit happy at the bench.
Exactly. Too. I'll keep stum. I won't say a word. Pay me that money, bro. I'll do whatever I need to do. I'll clean every pair of boots if I need to for that kind of money, bro. Like, the fuck? Oh, this fucking...
It's wild. It's really wild. This one was like the wildest bit of news we got this week. I was like, I couldn't believe that this is real. Like, we can't get rid of this guy. So we're stuck with Kepa pretty much, boys and girls. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna just that one. Marina, you really failed us on that one.
Sorry, Ike, when I say that, I don't mean from a business perspective, like trying to recoup the money. I just mean in terms of like how it looks. Like, that's all I mean. It, like, to buy this player for like 72 mil on these wages and then release him on a free or like kind of terminate his contract, like that just comes across as so stupid, or that just looks so bad. That's what I mean. I don't necessarily mean from a business like trying to balance the books, because you're right. He's not on their books like the owners. It's more from how it looks like you just look like an idiot in terms of what, like, with this, which means we're in a shit situation, because it's like, for a guy like let's say a Loftus-Cheek or a Ziyech, like, I know we're selling Loftus-Cheek, but like those guys, you're only getting like 10-15 mil for them anyway, which isn't a massive amount in the grand scheme of things. You can afford to terminate their contracts, like, because it's like these guys are like second, third choice players, so it doesn't really matter. So with Kepa, it's a bit different.
I mean, I still think we need to get a better keeper. Like, I don't think he's a core issue at Chelsea. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like one of the reasons we've had a bad season is because of Kepa. I don't think he's that. But at the same time, like, it's been a position we've been neglecting. I don't think Kepa's is gonna get as good as he's gotten this season. I think there are better keepers out there, and I think this season we saw, like, with Kepa, this is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah, and that's the thing with him. There's stuff like this. Some goalkeepers can overcome stuff like that, like Casillas, 6 foot, but was one of the best keepers ever. Some guys can't, and that's the problem. Like that's kind of the problem in terms of with Kepa, there's always going to be a ceiling, and it's like for a team that wants to come like top 4 every season, or for a team that is top half of the table Europa League, that's fine. For where we want to get to, that's not acceptable for me personally, especially when he's been here for as long as he has. He's not done anything of any note. Like, one good season here or there just doesn't cut it for me personally.
Would you guys take Emiliano Martinez if the plan was to eventually transition to Slonina being the starting goalkeeper?
I mean, I was originally quite hesitant to it because, like, he's not the best on the ball. But then I actually think to Poch at Spurs, he used Lloris as the goalkeeper, and we're not going to say Lloris is some Edison Allison ball playing goalkeeper exactly. So he's a great shot stopper. He's experienced, and I think from that perspective, where Poch doesn't necessarily prioritize an elite ball playing goalkeeper. I mean, whether or not that'll bite him in the arse one day remains to be seen. But based on Spurs, I think it could be a decent fit. It just kind of depends on the money Villa are going to ask for him, which likely is going to be a lot.
Yeah, I could see that being a lot.
Martinez is one I don't actually have like many opinions on, in just in terms, because I'm kind of with Oliver in a sense of like I don't really know how to judge him. Like he's a great shot stopper, but I just like when it comes to his all round the game, I just don't really know how he is, and so like I just have no real opinion on him in terms of like whether like if he comes, cool. If he doesn't, cool, kind of thing. Like I just don't really have much to say about him because I don't know how he is as all round keeper.
And then obviously. Go ahead, Sky. We were going to say.
That's kind of it. I don't really know, like, what to really think about him, which is weird considering he's a World Cup winning goalkeeper.
And with Mendy going to Spurs, I don't think any of us really care as long as he leaves. There's really not much to say on that.
I can't lie.
I mean, I'm sad in general with Mendy that it hasn't worked out. You know, like. Where's that goalkeeper that like was part of winning us the Champions League? Where is that goalkeeper that was like winning us trophies after this guy got like a whole trophy case worth of trophies in the one season that he showed up? And I can't explain it how these players, like, it's such a phenomena. Like we see like so many players, like the one that comes to mind is Isco, right? Where like they were at the top of the top, and then all of a sudden they plummet. And I'm not saying like the same fate is going to happen to Mendy. I think there's more of a possibility of Mendy still competing in top competition. But Jesus Christ, these falls from graces are like, how does I don't know how it happens.
I don't know, and I have time for Mendy. Like I really hope wherever he goes next season, like he does well. Like this is the thing, I want him to go somewhere he's going to start most games and is going to, play for a team that's going to do well. Potentially go to a team that might win something, potentially. Like, because I have a bit of a soft spot for him. Like I hope he does well in his career. To be honest,
I don't know, Malik. I don't know, man.
Oh, he was in world class.
Season he came in.
Yeah, that season he came in, he was in world class form. Like. There's a question mark around, was that his level or was that just form? But regardless, there was a point where he was playing at a world class level.
Yeah,
like he was the best goalkeeper in a year. Like he was the best goalkeeper of the year we won the Champions League. Like the fact he got second was and that was bollocks as well. Like the fact he got second.
Who got first? It was Ederson, right? Ederson won
it. No, it was Donnarumma.
Oh, Donnarumma.
And the only reason he won it is because they won the Euros, and I think he saved the penalty, two of the penalties or something.
Even then, Donnarumma was not that impressive in that Euro, to be honest. But I mean, hey, to each their own. I mean, I guess everyone looks for something different when it comes to goalkeepers. And for me, which is why I do like Emiliano Martinez, is that shot stopping ability, which I don't see Kepa making the same kind of saves that Emiliano Martinez would make. But David, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. £2 super chat, not dollar. Seems like club is cursed with signings. Weird. I wouldn't say that. I feel like we do have some decent signings and
certain positions. I see.
Certain positions, like the striker position, for example.
I'd say that the two positions I'd say are striker and goalkeeper. I don't know, like I think some of that comes down to a lot of that just comes down to poor scouting or poor decision making with I just think it comes down to poor decision making. The Mendy one is weird because like he was playing at that level and it was a complete drop off. I cannot explain it. I can't explain Mendy's drop off. Kepa, I don't think was ever that great. It was just we paid an astronomical fee because we had to, because of the the way the transfer worked. It was stupid. I think it just comes down to negligence from the scouting department.
With Mendy, it's just it's clear to see his mentality. He makes poor decisions. He hesitates nowadays. Oh,
sorry about that.
There you are. But yeah, he hesitates now. He makes poor decisions. He wasn't doing this at a time when he had maximum confidence and was playing at that level, and he's lost that level. The reason, we can't say what the reason is, but at the end of the day, he definitely has the ability to be at that level because we've seen it. And, he has been good on the ball for us. He has saved shots. He has come out to claim crosses. He doesn't do that anymore. It's mental. You don't just lose these abilities, you physically can't do them anymore. It's about decisions.
All I hope is that for Mendy, with the amount he's probably earned in that time span of being like top goalkeeper, I'm hoping he just took care of his family and took care of himself with the wages that he's earned and the bonus money and any stuff that he may have earned at that time, you know, because the last thing I want to see is, because you guys remember his story. He was about to be going into unemployment. He was ready to quit his career, and then he had a breakthrough, and I was happy, you know, for him. So I'm just hoping he takes care of his family and himself, and whatever happens to his career, he's gonna be okay. You know,
I think he'll be fine for money because, like, surely he's going to get another club, and they're going to give him a raise because, I mean, the money he's on, you know, like he should be on more realistically, you know, not Kepa level, but
not Kepa level exactly.
From what we've seen overall, you know, what's he on, 60K?
Something like that.
I think it's either 40 or 60. I can't remember. Someone can correct me in the chat if they want to. But, you know, that's definitely not enough for the level we have seen him reach. And, yeah, I mean, that's it, really. He's going to get a raise wherever he goes. I'm 100% on that.
I hope so. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And let's discuss the midfield options and what's going to be happening with the midfield and what the plan is for the midfield for Chelsea. All right, so right here, we got the first tweet. Fabrizio Romano reporting, Chelsea are taking time to decide on the new number 6 because they want the perfect partner for Enzo Fernandez. We need someone to allow him to be the real Enzo, someone who can run a lot. Going forward, we have here sources. Simon Phillips saying Moises Caicedo becomes Chelsea's number 1 midfield target. And I'm all for it. I think this guy is very talented. And if we had been able to go for him in January, it would have been great. I'm happy we got Enzo instead. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to go back in for Moises Caicedo. More news regarding the midfield options. Arsenal wants to prepare an official bid for Rice in the next week. Chelsea are interested. Now, this is coming from Fabrizio Romano that Chelsea are interested in Rice. So now I'm going to actually start taking it more seriously. But to be fair, Rice is also not a bad midfielder. It's just that price. And then the stands have been really annoying when it comes to Rice. It makes me really reluctant to get him.
I think he wants Champions League football as well.
You know what? If he goes to Arsenal, and we'll talk about this as well, and Mason Mount go to Arsenal, it makes perfect sense. Let them all go, and we'll see what happens. I'm not concerned, really. But anyways, continuing on with what's going to be happening in the midfield, Manchester City are maintaining a watching brief on Mateo Kovacic. The 29-year-old is admired by Pep Guardiola and would be keen to join the Premier League champions elect. It's an interesting sentence.
That was at the time. Now they're the champions.
Gotcha. And the next... Okay, Scott had to go for work. All right, that's fine. Chelsea have barely made any efforts to renew the Mateo Kovacic contract with just 1 year left on his current deal. Kovacic is drawing interest from Manchester City. This government is Arguzella, so do take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But that being said, I did see a comment earlier that I wanted to bring up, and Sean did say this. Big up, boys. Colwill can be great for us going forward. I'm not trying to use him in a deal for Caicedo.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
No
okay. Even for Caicedo?
Just a straight no. I mean, Colwill, like I said before, I haven't watched him, but from what I've heard, he either is that good or could be that good. And at the end of the day, there are alternatives to Caicedo. We've already talked about Manuel Ugarte. There might have been one other as well. There was Rice. There might have been one other as well. I can't remember. Oh, Lavia. Yeah. But
Lavia.
There are alternatives to Caicedo. It's not like a make or break. We have to get him, or the season is not going to be a success. So, I
do rate him. I do think he's a very good DM, and he would be a great DM.
He is good. I just think going with cash, I'm not willing to put Colwill up for that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think also for Man City, I think this is I think it is likely to happen that he goes to Man City because, hearing that Gundogan's probably going to move out of the Premier League into another league. We'll see. I think replacing that player is going to be very important, and you got to give someone of similar caliber when it comes to skill level. Kovacic is just that guy. listen, I don't really care what people think about Kovacic this season. There's a lot of reasons to explain why he hasn't been at his best, whether it be injury, being forced to play with injury, which we saw with Lampard. And on top of that, just, the amount of swapping and changing in the club and just losing interest. It's very likely that a player like him lost interest and has lost ambition for the club. So he's a good player. We saw what he did in the World Cup. We saw what he did at Chelsea in previous seasons. He's a fantastic player. The player is still there. It's just not, his heart's not at Chelsea. Let him go on to Man City and, play out the rest of his career and be like prime Kovacic. But that being said, we do have to replace him. I like the options. I like what people are saying about Ugarte. I like what people are saying about Lavia. I like what people are saying about Caicedo and what I've seen with Caicedo. So would you give Chukwuemeka and cash for Caicedo? Probably. Look, I'm not that attached to Chukwuemeka. I'll be honest with you. I know we bought him for a reasonable amount of money from Aston Villa, but again, I don't have this weird attachment to him that a lot of people on the Twitter, Chelsea Twitter, and just the YouTube Chelsea space seem to have with him. I don't know if you agree with that, Oliver.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah, I mean, Carney. I mean, for me, I just feel bad for Carney. I think probably leaving, whether it be permanent or loan, that's the best decision for him as a player and to further his career. I don't see him getting in under Pochettino, especially if we've gotten Kunku coming in. We got
to trim the squad,
and we could be getting Felix back on loan. So it's a really difficult one. I feel bad for him. He should have gotten more opportunities, but
I agree.
If he's got to further his career, and if we can find a way to include him in the deal, then that's cool. But I right now I just put that as a pure hypothetical because swap deals or player plus cash doesn't really happen much. So
gotcha. All right, moving on to the next topic, which is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. We didn't really get to talk about this, but let's go ahead and discuss the move that he will be potentially making to AC Milan. So Fabrizio Romano reporting, understand AC Milan are in concrete talks to sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek from Chelsea. He's priority target to rebuild the midfield. Loftus-Cheek keen on the move as negotiation is progressing well. Other tweet here from Fabrizio Romano as well. AC Milan consider Ruben Loftus-Cheek as priority target. Talks will continue as soon as Chelsea and also players camp. Will continue soon with Chelsea and also players camp. Gotcha. Ruben Loftus-Cheek keen on the move. Understand it'd be a permanent move with clubs talks over crucial details of the deal. So listen, not my first priority when it comes to the transfers, but at the same time, I'm happy for him. Listen, whether it be because of his wages or what he's getting paid at Chelsea, it seemed to me that he was very professional about his play time. When he did play, I think he put in a shift most times, not all the time, obviously. I like that he was versatile. I like that he was willing to play any position when asked. And it's a good attitude to have as a player. And I think a lot of players should have the same attitude. You have a lot of players nowadays complaining like, oh, I'm not playing on the left wing. I'm being played as a left wing back. Pull a switch. And so on and so forth. So it's just I like that he has a good attitude on him. And I think he's going to rock it up at AC Milan. I really think with his physicality and his ability to drive the ball up the field, I think he's gonna be a starter, and I think he's gonna do really well, like incredibly well. Oliver, what are your opinions? Also, I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, with Ruben, he's done what he's been asked of, and completely fair play to him. He's naturally a midfielder, but he's played in a multitude of positions, so he's definitely been there for that. And at the end of the day, he's not been horrendous overall. Obviously, he didn't hit his potential after the Achilles injury. But at the end of the day, with a guy like him, it's not a get out of my club. It's it's a thanks for your service kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
no hard feelings.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I agree. Italy is a perfect league for him. Wait, is Carney really on 100K?
Yeah.
That's insane. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with Carney, but that's for a guy who hasn't played nearly as much, and even last season he wasn't. Did he play a lot for Aston Villa?
He barely got into the Villa senior
That's
side.
insane. Why are we paying so much for this guy?
I mean, the weirder thing is that you put this guy on 100K a week, and this is when Tuchel was here. Tuchel wasn't interested in using him, and then you hire two managers that completely ignore him. So what's the point?
Again, look. It's hard to say because we're not like behind the scenes, right? And seeing what's going on and how he's training and all that, whatnot. But I don't know, man. Like it strikes me as weird that all these managers come through and just haven't played him.
I don't care about training though, because I mean, supposedly Lampard picks players of training, Potter picks players of training. We're in 12th, aren't we, right now? 12th or 11th, whatever it may be. So clearly your training isn't doing you a lot of good. So you've got to try something different. That's just the way I see it. And it's been done to death. But one of our best ever players was Eden Hazard, and he was about as good at training as any lazy player that you want to bring up. So there you go.
I mean, on the topic, while we're here, I might as well get into this one. Let's talk about Frank Lampard's impact on the team. I know we discussed this briefly last stream, but we'll get into details about the Carney situation as well in this. But first tweet to start us off here. Okay, so Lampard, Fabrizio Romano reporting, he reveals, I was pushing big to have Erling Haaland sign at Chelsea. I'm not sure what the appetite was at the club. The competition was big because he was an outstanding player. The buyout clause was reasonable. I don't know how close it was, but I wanted him. I'm gonna save face by saying I wanted this really good player. I don't know.
I mean, this is prime
kind of a
Frank
weird
Lampard.
statement. It's kind of a weird statement.
He takes credit for everything good and hides whenever things go bad.
Yeah. So Matt Law. Also reporting here, Lampard's a really big fan of Ziyech. If the manager's a fan of a player, it's not really Lampard's problem what happens at the end of the season. I think even though Ziyech, I am told, can be a bit of a challenging person, I think Lampard actually likes that in him. Which, if true, could explain why Ziyech has been getting more playtime, even though this guy's leaving the club in the summer. Moving forward, Frank Lampard. Chelsea's younger players must first impress in training before being considered for a place in the match day squad. They may be looked at in the next few games, of course. We have to try and get results for ourselves, so I have to think about that. And also putting out a strong team. This came out 6 days ago? 8 days ago. So about a week ago, before he said that comment about looking out for his job and such.
Yeah, before the City game.
So going forward, and again, like our season was done at this point. I don't really see the point of we have to try to get results and all that. But all right, we continue.
No, Marshall. We don't have to try and get results. He has to try and get results. He's looking for a job.
It's solidifying more of the statement that like. What he said, like I got to think about my job, was really about his job, not necessarily about like,
about the club.
What I was saying, how I first interpreted, which was like, making sure all the players get equal pay time and fair play time and all that and this and that. Cardi Chukwuemeka will not fly to England's under-20s today. He will stay with Chelsea until the end of the season after injuries to Kante and Kovacic. And we saw that this tweet came out before the City game. And then we saw the City game, what happened. He got 10 minutes to do fuck all. Frank Lampard and Cardi Chukwuemeka. He will get more minutes. I hope in these next two games coming up that he may go to the World Cup after that. And the next season, he can be a fantastic player going forward if he does all the things he needs to do. Frank, you've got to wait your time. Understand? I want to get him minutes, but I have to think about my job. This is the tweet that everyone has been going crazy about. I thought he did well when he came on. So here's the thing about Frank Lampard that I do just want to say, and there's one more tweet here, so let me get to this tweet. Oh no, this is something else. Okay, we'll talk about that. So here's the thing about the Lampard thing. I feel like how do I say this without sounding like I'm defending him? I think Lampard's been a horrible manager. I don't want him to stay as a manager. I don't think being as a caretaker manager was the best idea, but I just rolled with it because we were at a point in the season where we have really nothing to play for anymore. Like, we're not going to get top 4. It couldn't get any worse. We weren't going to get top 8. And I didn't think we were going to get relegated. And lo and behold, we're not going to get relegated, but it wasn't, Lampard wasn't very convincing. I will say though, like, I feel like when it comes to Lampard, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I feel like a lot of times, what I mean by that is that a lot of times when Lampard gets brought out, it's all just bad. And it's going to sound bad regardless of how I say it. So I'm just going to say it. I don't think everything Lampard has done has been terrible. I think there's been some semblances of like positivity. It's not much to cry home about. But I don't know. I feel like one of the positive things is that it seems like the players have been playing better in the 90 minutes versus only in 45 minutes first half, which we saw under Potter. So I think Lampard did come in and start training these players better, which was going to help, with fitness levels going into the Pochettino season.
I'd say they've been more consistent over a 90 minutes.
Sure.
That doesn't mean they've been better. It's just that there's not a drop off. It's just a consistent kind of mid to bad. That's the way I look at it.
My point in saying this really is that, like, I feel like when it comes to Lampard, I think we need to stop just only really seeing like all the bad, and like even if there is a little good, somehow we twist it into it's bad. Like, I understand Lampard's a bad manager, but not everything he's doing is necessarily terrible and bad. Like, I think what made me realize this was the Carney situation. Look, I don't know where I stand with Carney. Is he good? Maybe. Is he bad? Maybe. Is he training well? Maybe. I don't know what's happening, but everyone seems to be putting it all on Lampard when there was 2 managers prior to him that also didn't give Carney his playtime. So it's like everyone really wants to just paint everything that Lampard does as bad. And again, I'm not saying that he isn't bad. Like, he's been terrible, but again, like, we have to be, we can't just be biased against Lampard and everything. We have to be reasonable as well. And like, not everything Lampard has done has been terrible. There has been some okay things in there, and again, it doesn't mean much, but we weren't necessarily as horrific as I anticipated we were going to be. And again, there's not much to say. Like, again, a loss is a loss, but we gave, whether you want to say Real Madrid took their foot off the gas or not, but we gave them a decent game. There were chances there, and we just didn't take them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Oliver, you probably disagree with what I have to say, but I just thought it was worth putting it out there because I feel like a lot of people are being very hyperbolic with Lampard, and everything is just bad.
I'll talk about the Carney thing because that's kind of like the big thing one of the big things that triggers this debate. I mean,
sure.
I mean, we'll look at Thomas Tuchel for starters.
Go for it.
He was having problems with the board. I personally think they went over him and bought him. And at the end of the day, whether or not that was the case, the fact of the matter is Tuchel only had 7 games here, and he didn't play a formation that included Carney's number 10/number 8 position. That wasn't a part of his 3-4-3. So
Sure.
There wasn't really a way it could work, and time may have told a different story, but he didn't get time. With Graham Potter, I hold him in a similar regard to Lampard. If whatever level Potter's on, Lampard is only one level below. Potter's awful. I don't
disagree with that.
I don't care what his opinions were. Him and Lampard are in the same boat, so I'm not going to treat their opinions like they're two completely different things, and it should be evidence towards multiple managers don't like Carney. That's just me. I wouldn't consider those things as polar opposite.
Again, like I am critical of Frank not playing Carney as much as the next person, because I do like give these youth players a chance, especially since right now we're at the point of the season where, dude, there's nothing here to play for. Like, you got nothing to lose by just playing them, But listen, Lampard, I don't know what you think is going to happen next season, but the only clubs that are probably going to want to give you a job are going to be a championship side. I don't think you're going to be playing for a top 5 league anytime soon. So I don't know what this saving face is all about.
This is the crazy thing, because, us getting so we avoided relegation after Bournemouth, and I think after Bournemouth it was 4 games, and we've played 2 of those 4 games. It was the Forest game and now the City game, or did we play Arsenal in between that? I can't remember.
No, we played Forest right after Bournemouth.
Okay, so we had 4 effective dead rubbers. When are we going to get that ever again? I mean, first of all, we want to look to be getting higher in the table next season. So top 4 races, they can go to the last day for all we know. So, or even top 6, depending on what it is. So, you just can't take these opportunities for granted. I mean, you do get the odd dead rubber in the Champions League group stage, but we're not in the Champions League. We're not in Europe, period. So when you get a meaningless set of games or a meaningless game, period, I don't think that's something that you can take lightly. You should take it as an opportunity. And at the end of the day, you've been hired as the interim. It's not your job to set out a system that you're going to include Gallagher as a long-term player or this player. You should be working in the best interests of the club. And that isn't by playing players that are going to be leaving the club ahead of potential future prospects.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's just... I think this guy just likes winning. He's a serial winner, so he's gonna he's just gonna a serial winner as a player, I should say.
Only as a player.
Let me rephrase that, as a player. So he just likes winning, and he just wants to win, even if it's not necessary. And you know what? And I would say, like, all the losses he's taken as an Everton manager, and now continuing on as a Chelsea caretaker manager, I'm sure it really hurts his ego, and he wants to prove as much as he can that he can be a manager, and he really wants to win. So I'm sure that does play a part as well.
And listen, deep down, I think you and me want him to be a good manager. But
yeah.
He has to eat the slice of humble pie and drop down the pyramid.
Yeah, I agree. But listen, I hope this is the last season we ever have to really discuss Lampard. Unless this guy is winning trophy after trophy at other leagues or even in the Prem as a manager of another club, I really have no interest in bringing him back to Chelsea ever again. Seriously. I'm happy for what he did as a player, and I'm happy for if the case is that no other manager was going to come in and take the job, I'm happy at least he took the job. I don't know if that's really saying much. I'm hesitant to even say that.
We cannot get into the situation ever again where we have to sack 2 managers in a season and no one wants to take us. No, that can never happen again. We have to start getting these manager appointments right in the long term.
Let's hope we never have to talk about Lampard ever again, at least in our lifetime. But all right, let's go ahead and go on to the next topic. And before we do, by the way, ladies and gents, 51 of you guys watching, let's try to get us to 50 likes. I think that sounds pretty reasonable. We're at 44, so get us up to 50 likes. I would really appreciate it. We're almost wrapping up the show. This is an extended show. I'm sorry. It's because there's so much news covered. But let's talk about how I think Nagelsmann is a coward. So recent news popped up about Julian Nagelsmann and the reason why he turned down the Chelsea job, or part of the reason why he turned down the Chelsea job. So here we have, I think, what was it? His agent, Julian Nagelsmann's agent, Volker Struth, to podcast. This is a German podcast. So I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. I can confirm that Chelsea were quick to call after Nagelsmann's dismissal at Bayern. It was the right decision by Nagelsmann not to go there. It's a club in troubled waters at the moment. Chelsea's transfer policy, spending a few million euros, has raised expectations that need to be met. There were also other issues. He was their number one choice. That was our information. I believe it would have happened if he wanted it. This is the part that kind of just raises alarm bells. Chelsea's transfer policy, spending a few hundred million euros, has raised expectations that need to be met. So you're saying that your client can't meet those expectations? I thought he was one of the best managers in the world. I thought, he got the Bayern job because he was qualified to get the Bayern job. So what's the difference with Chelsea? If anything, as a Chelsea player, you probably get more backing as a manager with the players. You get more liberties. You get time. You saw how much time Potter was awarded. You're going to get time as a manager. You can go through some bad patches, but turn it around soon, or else you get the sack. I think it's absolutely bizarre that this guy, if it's true that they turned it down because of the expectations that needed to be met, I think it's just what a bitch.
I'm gonna be watching very closely for whatever his next job is, and I'm gonna be watching very closely to see if there are any reports at any given moment that comes out saying, "Oh, the board aren't giving him enough money, but you turned down a few $100 million." So what?
It's just absurd.
Listen, the agent is right. We are a club in troubled waters. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the manager is part of that solution. He coaches the players, and that has been a big problem this season. The coaching of the players has been terrible. You can attribute transfers and whatnot to the ownership, and fair enough, and manager decisions to the owners. Fair enough, they deserve the blame for that. But you are a big part of the solution as the guy that sets out the team to go and win matches. If you don't have good enough players, then fair enough, that's not on you. But go on.
No, I was just gonna say, Jacob, I agree with this comment. And to be fair, I think now that I think about it, that we did avoid we avoided a bullet.
I want to ask the chat this. Does anyone remember in 2021 when we just won the Champions League? We were in for Hakimi.
Yeah,
and his agent was basically spouting the exact same thing about not exactly the same thing, but along the lines of the pressure of playing for the European champions, isn't preferable, and we were all quite happy to move on from Hakimi after that. I think it's the exact same energy here.
And you know what, Oliver? I don't know if you agree with my sentiment on this, and I've touted this a few times on the Discord. I've said that I think any manager who is confident enough in themselves would love to take the Chelsea job right now. Yeah. People look at our place in the table right now and say oh, why would any manager want to come to the club? The club is in turmoil, all these flops and all this and that. Why would any manager want to come to the club? You think a manager wants to come to your club when you're winning trophies all the time, when you're in first place all the time, when you're constantly in a top four battle, constantly in Europe, constantly competing? You think a manager is more inclined to go to a club like that than a club that has the potential to do that but is underperforming?
Why did Emery go to a 17th place Aston Villa?
Yeah, exactly.
He believes in himself.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. And look at where, look at how much better Emery looks now as a manager, seeing where Aston Villa is at the table. versus where they started. You don't think that same exact mentality goes for any manager who knows Chelsea knows that Chelsea is way better than where they are on the table. They know that Chelsea could be competing for the Premier League. They know that Chelsea did just win the Champions League title with a good majority of the players in the squad currently 2 seasons ago. Like,
right.
This is a really good team under bad management. That's the only issue. So any manager that would come in, I should say any competent manager, any confident manager that comes into this team now, and look, Pochettino as well. Like, look, I don't rate Pochettino. You guys already know that. Like, I've already stated that I have my hesitancy with Pochettino based on what he did at PSG in the 2 seasons he was there, or 1.5 seasons he was there. But even Pochettino can come into this club and his CV will look so good because, one, he's going to get the best out of most of these players. I would assume so. He's going to make these players look really good. We saw what he did with Dele Alli, and so that make them fit. That's the other thing. And with Pochettino, we're going to be competing in the top 6. I'm going to say top 6 because that's where my expectations are with Pochettino. For now. Maybe the season after that, we were competing in top 4, and then maybe the season after that, if Pochettino's working out, we're competing for the league. But like, it looks so good on your CV to come in, take a team that's underperforming, and then bring them back to where they were. Look at what Emery's doing. Like, Emery looks like a top tier manager right now with Aston Villa, and what he and resurrecting their season pretty much. So this idea that like, oh, no manager's gonna come in, like the club's in turmoil, look at where we are. Like, no, a manager would love to come in right now, take all the money in the world that they're gonna get paid, and just earn the love and respect. This is an easy way to earn the love of the fan base, to just resurrect the team and just like bring them back to their glory, which is like where they are right now. Oh wow, hey Andrew, what's going on?
All good, my friends. All quiet today, I presume, on Chelsea social media.
Very, very much not. Very much not.
Oh,
but
I missed the space.
Yeah. I've been hearing about it a lot.
It wasn't a space. It was apparently it's one man ranting for like.
There was no other speakers.
Nope, no other speakers. I spoke to Jez, the Spurs fan who I streamed with. He was listening in. He said no one else was speaking.
Hey, Echo Chamber FC, we know what it is.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Prince, welcome to the stream, Winter Surfer.
Hey, no problem.
My brain always goes, Andrew, Winter Surfer, Andrew, Winter Surfer.
You call me Andrew. It's all good, man. All good.
Okay. But King Prince is another decent example. I would say decent because like United was always kind of competing in that top race. They weren't like Aston Villa, almost relegation to top, now competing. But like even Ten Hag raising the levels like to a level where they should be performing. Because like, let's have it right.
Let's have it right.
United have been underperforming for a while now. And it took a manager, a good manager, a competent manager like Ten Hag to come in and raise the levels. And now everyone at United like love Ten Hag and love what they've done and love how he's overperformed the expectations that they had. So I think any manager that's competent enough and given the opportunity would love to take this Chelsea job right now because they know that they can take this Chelsea team to a top 4 race or to a top 6 race and definitely perform better than what they've been performing this season. Andrew, I don't know if you have any input on that.
Are we discussing just what Nagelsmann said?
Yeah, Nagelsmann basically saying, this comment right here in particular, Chelsea's transfer policy, spending a few €100 million has raised expectations that need to be met.
Yeah, any type of spending like that does. It brings expectations. You're spending, especially when it comes to a big club, you're spending phenomenal amounts of money on already an expensively assembled squad. Then you should be seeing some major output in terms of performances, wins, points, and a trophy. Essentially, that's what you're doing. That's why transfers are so important, or else it's just a waste of money. Like most people think of what we've done so far with the 600 million. Oh, the strategy's got to look more cohesive instead of maybe scattergun, which might be we're probably in the middle of or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or it's got to have some type of plan.
Yeah.
Or something. You know, you can easily you can see like how Newcastle have spent their funds since they got taken over very shrewdly, not really overspent anything like that. We'll see what they do in the summer, I suppose. And everyone's like going now in the summer, like Arsenal have to spend over 200 million just to keep up with City and that. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those. I agree. Money brings expectations. I always think though it's weird that you have to apply them to the actual. So say Newcastle got the money, but they've been languishing about for the last few years, but now they're in the top 4. So it's one of those.
Yeah, but don't you think okay, and you know what? That's actually another good example is what I forgot his name. What's the name of the Newcastle manager?
Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe, thank you. I'm sorry. That's another thing too. Like Eddie Howe, you have a team like Newcastle who is nearing relegation, and there's a whole takeover. You get backing as a manager, and you get new players. Because of the amount that they because of the pressures of a new owners and the amount of money that's going to be coming into Newcastle, do you think Eddie Howe was intimidated by the expectations now that now this team has to compete?
It's literally I believe I saw a stat when they took over that club, like the Newcastle ownership, the whatever they're called, they account for 75% of the net worth in the entire Premier League. That is pressure.
But also,
that's a lot of pressure.
If you remember, Eddie Howe, they didn't hire Eddie Howe. He was already there when they took over.
Sure.
So
I don't think so. I thought wasn't Bruce still there?
Oh no, no. Sorry, you're absolutely right. I think they were surprised that they went with Eddie Howe. That was probably it. That they made the choice to go with Eddie Howe was probably a surprise to everyone. Like they probably thought they were going to bring.
They went in for Emery initially.
They did, but maybe they thought they were going to bring in like another big name or something like that. So it is one of those. That's why they're spending the way they are. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
But I think my point being is that okay, you bring in Eddie Howe. Despite what you think of Eddie Howe, regardless, he looks really good as a manager because he's taken Newcastle from relegation to top 4. Now, is Eddie Howe gonna make Newcastle compete for the Premier League? I don't think so. But it looks really good on his CV that he took this Newcastle team from this and that. And I know there's a lot of pressure, right? But at the same time, when you have these players, when you have this backing, I would like to assume that as a manager, it makes your job so much easier. I could easily get top 4 with this team. And same thing goes with Pochettino. I think with all the backing that we have at Chelsea, they're 11th place, or actually maybe even 12th place. No matter what competent manager you bring in, I'm sure any manager that comes in here with competence and confidence with this team and this squad and the backing, they'll be glad dude, I have all the tools to make top 4 or top 6, and I'm going to look like a hero to all these fans because of how bad a previous manager was.
Well, that's correct. It's easy to spend money. It's how you utilize it. So, for example, they spent a huge whopping amount on Joe Linton, as a striker. Yeah. And he was going down as flop of the season. But look what Eddie Howe has done with this.
Yeah, you got to give Eddie Howe his flowers for that one.
He's made him one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. So it's you can spend all the money you want, but you have to still show how good you are as a coach. It's one of those. So.
But I think we did dodge a bullet with Nagelsmann. If it is true that he has a hesitancy with the club because of the expectations, and I'm kind of inclined to not believe it because he took the Bayern job, and I can't imagine how much pressure you have at Bayern. You have to win the league as Bayern.
I think he's a Bayern fan though.
Yeah, that might be. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I mean, I think what you said, Oliver, is a good idea. keep an eye on what his next club is going to be and how he does there. But that being said, we have 2 more topics before we end the stream today, boys. I know it's been a long stream and it's been loaded with content, so I hope you guys do enjoy it. And if you do, please make sure you smash that like button. Jesus. Yeah, no, it's been a lot. This past 7 days has been a lot of news happening when it comes to
7 hours. There's been a lot.
Well, we missed the show on Sunday because of the game.
Yeah, we missed the show on Sunday, so it's been like 10 days, kind of. So about a week and a half. But still, like in just that extra 3 days, we got a lot of content here. So yeah, let's talk about Mason Mount. That's the next topic. Listen,
why? What's happening to him? What are we doing?
I don't think much has happened. I think we still hold the same position. Nothing has really changed our minds. But for the sake of talking about it and discussing some new things that have come up in regards to personal life and I guess new clubs that are in for him, let's I guess bring it up. So okay, first things first, Mason Mount is back in training. We knew this about a while ago. He's back in training, but if you didn't know, he's back in training, so he's good to go. He may or may not make an appearance in these next 2 games. I have my doubts, but we'll see. So moving forward, we have information here from Jacob Steinberg. There's been speculation that Mauricio Pochettino could convince Mason Mount to stay at Chelsea. However, Chelsea are not optimistic on keeping him. Liverpool are favorites. Manchester United are also interested. Going forward, Mauricio Pochettino wants to build his team squad around core homegrown players. He's identified, you guys are going to love this. He's identified Levi Colwill, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount, and Reece James as players he would who could be instrumental to his project. Moving forward, we have David Ornstein saying Mason Mount is a player that Liverpool have definitely made attempts to sign. That would be a ferocious contest, not only about whether he might leave, but also whether he could ultimately decide to stay and Chelsea finally come to an agreement with him, which I find to be very unlikely, but we move. David Ornstein also reporting as of recently, Arsenal haven't taken their eyes off the ball in other positions as well. I think they're referring to the fact that Arsenal, who were they recently linked with?
Rice.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So that advanced midfield position, sort of the number 8, the more creative role. Okay. Is something that if Arsenal can fill, they will look to do. That's why the likes of Mason Mount are among their targets. We don't know to what extent, and there's also competition. This is coming from David Ornstein, who is insanely reliable. We move. Arsenal want to add creativity in a more advanced position, and that has fueled the pursuit of Mason Mount. although there is a strong competition that Liverpool and Manchester United, while Chelsea will make a final push to extend his terms. And then we have here, okay, this was today. A woman bombarded Mason Mount with messages in a 4-month stalking campaign after he broke off their relationship, a court has heard. TikToker, Jesus Christ. Okay. TikToker Orla Melissa Sloan, 21, pleaded guilty to stalking him and his former teammate, Billy
Wow.
Poor Billy. Billy Gilmore, as well as harassing fellow Blues star Ben Chilwell at Westminster Magistrates Court on Wednesday.
Just quickly on Billy Gilmore, we're not going to go over the entire article, but he apparently had to take sleeping pills to cope with this.
Good Lord.
That's what the article said.
What was she doing?
That's insane.
My.
Okay. People do crazy shit when they're 21 and younger, I guess. I don't know. People are, I mean, we saw what happened with Mudryk today. People do stupid shit when they're young. So, sources believe Mason Mount is prepared to leave his boyhood club. Chelsea have been reluctant to meet his wage demands, and relations have strained over the last months. Chelsea won at least £60 million with Ten Hag, a fan of his athleticism and work rate. And
everything on the ball?
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and there's one more tweet here. I forgot. Okay. Despite Poch's effort, extension now unlikely for Mason Mount. This is coming from Fabrizio Romano. This is probably why our boys, our boy Mineral probably lost his shit. So the brown envelopes, the brown envelopes.
So it's like Poch, it doesn't matter what Poch wanted or could do.
Yeah.
It's a contract situation. It's not, it's not, it's not like he's running a restaurant or something. He's trying to save one of his waiters this day. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can want all the players you want. It's down to if the club's not going to offer, not offer what the player wants, then it doesn't matter if he wants him to stay or not. You have to sell him.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Turbo Jesus, you gotta realize like these guys are still human. They still have their life outside of football, and it's not fun to have to constantly be berated and harassed by like a stalker. Like,
well, exactly.
Especially someone.
If it's like they turn like it's Billy Gilmour's having to take sleeping tablets. You can
That's
honestly
insane.
think what the harassment will be like. Whether it's like knocking at the door or constant phone calls or
like you don't want your mom to constantly be texting you. So like, why? A girlfriend that you don't want to be with anymore,
Just on the phone calls, another detail was that Mount had to change his phone number like 21 times.
Right.
I think that must be exaggerated. 20 times is crazy.
I know, but
okay,
even
it was a joke. Okay.
But even a few times, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did you get the number 21 times? How is that? But that's what I mean. How do you get a number 20? How do you get
That's
a different
insane.
number 21 times?
Looking at Billy Gilmour. Billy?
No, we know it's a joke. We know it's a joke. OG.
Yeah.
Don't worry, man. We know that. Don't worry.
I don't know if they have. Do you guys have restraining orders in the UK?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it easy to get one? Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know the stalking law. When I say new, it's not like it's been here for a year. It's one of the relatively new laws.
Oh, okay.
I think, because it's like, how do you deal? Because it's obviously there's different levels of like stalking.
Mm-hmm.
When does stalking become harassment? When does harassment become stalking and stuff like that? So it's
there's a lot of nuance.
It's hard.
Yeah, but on to moving away from the stalking stuff. Like, is Mason Mount creative? I guess he can be, but is he good at like? Is he efficient at it? I don't think he is. So
if you get him, then what? Wait. So if you get him, you've already got Odegaard there to create, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the other thing too. Like, why would Arsenal want the creative? I mean, I can understand having a backup creative midfielder, but you have Odegaard, and Odegaard's been really good for you guys this season.
I think they're misreading what I think they want Mount for the Xhaka role.
Huh? I could see
they're getting Rice. So how does that work?
I think they might. I was still a report yesterday that Party might be one of the ones that they sacrifice as well.
Okay.
So they might be getting a Rice Mount pivot. So the reunion will happen at a London club, just not ours.
Man, Rice, Mount, and Jorginho, everyone won.
Good lord.
That was the Chelsea midfield that we didn't deserve.
Wow.
That everyone wanted, but that we didn't deserve. I'm not afraid of what Mount could become because I mean, I have a feeling that under Poch, under Ten Hag, I still don't really rate Arteta like this, but we'll see. He could become a really good player. Even under Klopp, he could become an insanely good player. But I don't know. I just he doesn't want to sign whatever. We've made multiple offers for him, and we've learned with Lukaku. Like, if the guy doesn't want to be here, if he really wants to be here, he probably would have accepted the first offer given to him. We saw what happened with Chalobah. We saw what happened with Reece James. We saw and those players, like, to be fair, have earned their offers. And I'm sure it doesn't help that Arsenal just signed Saka on this really lucrative deal as well, 300K. And we'll see what's going to happen with Saka, whether he gets complacent or not. But
Marshall, have you got the United story queued up from Ornstein?
No.
Oh, well, Ornstein basically said that Mount's preferred destination would be United. And you can tell why. I mean, we kind of went over this a few months ago with like his England teammates and what their salaries are. You got Sancho sitting there on 375 per week. And they are notable for overpaying their players. De Gea is on about the same. You know,
375 Sancho. I thought it was 275.
No, he maybe not as high as 375, but he's above 300. And you know, for his performance level, it has been abysmal.
Although I was saying that, I was looking at the Arsenal because everyone's going, "How come Saka is getting 300 grand a week?" And then I looked, and Jesus is getting 265. Wow. So it's like okay, suddenly the Saka's wages don't seem that high.
Yeah, Jesus.
I think people's problem with it is that he's in a kind of drop in form right now, and now they've given him the contract. It's kind of like a bad.
But the thing is though, like Mason Mount, like his best season, in my opinion, was the Lampard Tuchel season.
Yeah,
where like he didn't have the output, but performance-wise, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, okay, not phenomenal. Let me not be too hyperbolic either.
He's very good.
He was very good. He was very impressive, and I was really hopeful for his future. But then the next season, we had a lot of like, you know, just my goodness,
the numbers were there.
The numbers were there
on paper. They were there, but it's like
on paper,
the performances were not.
Yeah, you know and it was against what teams too, you know?
Well, exactly, and also if we remember, look at his. And I know it coincides with how we play, but look at his impact when we play so-called big games. Do you know what I mean? What's his performance level like?
I think what was the stat that out of all the big games that we played, he just had one goal?
That once, and obviously we played more times, I think, but it was something like he had four contributions of like goals or assists in 44 games.
Jesus
like
Christ!
So like
I think he's only scored against Liverpool.
Yeah, he has an impact once every 11 games. Essentially, what it worked out then, it might be a bit more or less now, depending on it. Well, it's probably be less. Sure. And we were working like there was a message, there was a thing that Mount as one of our top assisters or scorers with 5 season. And I was thinking, yeah, but that was in like a 3 or 4 game stretch of this season. You remember like the Milan games, Wolves, and like Villa, and there was nothing since then. It's not as if he's like stopped playing. He's not played for the last couple of months or so. And people go, yeah, but listen, we've not played that well. It's like, bro, it's like shit.
But also like, you know, this is the worst that Chelsea attack in 99 years, and we're propping someone that isn't the best out of that. Yeah. Like,
so it's one of those. So
listen, Rashi, if he becomes a great player for United, then good for him. Good for him.
I'm going to say this right now. I don't think any of us will disagree. We're not saying Mount won't be good wherever he goes. I'm just saying it right now. If you look at a Poch 11, his favourite formation is 4-2-3-1, right? We're looking for at least a couple of midfielders to help Enzo in that area, right?
Sure.
And then you go, okay, so he doesn't really play. I don't think he would suit a pivot like that anyway. You want to move a bit more.
So then number 10.
We have defense. So then you go move a bit forward. So we've got wide. So we've got Mudryk, Sterling, and Mudryk will stay. Possibly adds another one. Okay, let's look at the 10 position, which he's not good at. Also, we've got Nkuku and Felix probably, and then they want a striker. So where does he go? Where does he play then? He's on the bench then. And then you're paying him, what, 250k a week to sit on the bench? And that's probably the guy, you know. And let's not forget, it's what someone's worth to pay you. And I have no issue with Mason Mount asking for what he thinks he's worth. I have no issue with that. But
I think it's fair to ask.
The club obviously look and don't value you that way. Because they were okay giving Reece 250, so whatever, or base salary, whatever it is. So I think people just got to get over it and go. He's gonna go. He's get over it now. He's gonna go.
Well, that's the funny one as well. When the Saka news came out, everyone was going, "Oh, this is how you value your homegrown players." Todd Bowley.
Yeah.
Look at James and Chalobah.
Yeah, Chalobah, James, Broha will sign contracts. So.
Yeah.
Listen, come on.
And they want to bring Colwill back.
And Saka,
Yeah.
like, come on, like, Jesus Christ. Saka has done a lot more than Mason Mount in the last 3 seasons.
Right.
Scored goals, got assists, very impactful. The performances were there. Like, listen, I don't want to keep tooting the horn. I don't want to keep tooting the Arsenal horn, but like, you guys have a good player in Saka. You really do. I'm jealous that I wish Mount was half the player that Saka was right now.
His contract has come up in a year he's playing well, or the negotiation, so it's easier, right? Even though he's dropped off a little bit, understandable. But Mount's contract issues have come up in a season he's not played well, and a new regime. I have no doubt under the old regime they would have signed him to a contract. I have no doubt about that under Roman and Marina. I have no doubt about that.
The only problem with that was that it was about a matter of timing, because we're all agreeing that his best season was the Lampard Tuchel season.
Yeah.
But that was, by that point, he was only 2 years into his contract, so there's no desperation to re-sign.
Yeah, he just signed a contract extension, hadn't he? Like that, or a new contract.
He signed one under
season.
He signed the one under Lampard.
Yeah, summer 2020, I think he signed or something like that.
He signed from 2019 until next year. So after his second season, that was his best season. You're only 2 years into a 5-year contract, so no desperation. Then a year later, we're sanctioned.
Here's the issue with this comment. None of us on this panel right now have said we hate man.
No.
Now, if you hear that, then that's okay. You hear
that echo chamber. You just came from the space.
Why I don't rate man? I saved the hate emotion for something really obvious, in terms of like someone does me wrong or like hurts me or family or friend or something like that. I do that, or some horrible person. Mount is just Mount, okay? Let me just say now, if you're a Chelsea fan, you should look at your history and realise we've sold and let go bigger and better players and still survived. And it's not, for someone brings up in this chat, it is not a KDB situation. He played 4 games for us, and at 24 showed more promise than what Mount is right now. I don't think Mount will ever reach a KDB level, ever. So...
Here's the thing too, like, all right, and someone brought up earlier, like, this comment right here.
He didn't get 21 goals in.
What?
He got 13, didn't he?
What Saka won? Here's the thing.
Was it Saka? Was it Saka you're saying? I don't know.
Maybe. But here's the thing with Saka, like, okay, would I have wanted to give him that contract, 300K? Probably not. I would have been hesitant, but I would have wanted to give him something close, because if Saka would have given me the performances that he gave Arsenal at Chelsea, I would have been more inclined and more convinced to give him that. Now, what has Saka won? He hasn't won much at Arsenal, but at the same time, like, is football an individual sport? It's not. It's a team sport. So when you say, "Oh, Mason Mount won the Champions League," no. Mason Mount and Chelsea. Chelsea won the Champions League. It's a team sport. He helped in winning that. He himself, as an individual, did not win us the Champions League.
Yeah. It's
not
so
like this idea, like,
Gerrard, it's not like Steven Gerrard final against like Milan. You know what I mean? Where it's like that. He and I just say this, that someone just put, which other Chelsea player has performed better than him? So here's the thing. I believe in that time Thiago Silva's played better. Or just as equal, whatever you want to say. Reece James has, and if you want to do the numbers comparison, look at Werner's numbers in his first season. Do you know what I mean? And if you want to do the numbers comparison, so
that's actually really true. Jesus Christ,
it's like that. You got Kante, Jorginho, the parts. So if you want to talk about that Champions League run, Jorginho and Kante played a just as big, if not a bigger thing. Pulisic in that COVID run, Mount's never reached those levels of what Pulisic did in that COVID thing. Never. He's never. You can say what you want, but he's never reached that level where he was just unplayable.
Yeah. And he was a key part to winning that Champions League.
Absolutely.
But so was Havertz. Yeah. So was Andreas Christensen. So was Rudiger. Like, there's a whole a lot of these players. Kante.
Oh, Rudiger,
especially.
Yeah. Sorry, Rudiger, Christensen.
Rudiger as well. Yeah, Christensen.
Yeah.
Kante also a key player. Like, but you know, again, were we saying like when Jack Grealish moved to Man City, were we saying like, oh, what did Jack Grealish win under Aston Villa? He didn't win shit, but you could still see that he was a really good player in a team that was underperforming.
But Mount, the thing about when it comes to Mount, it's like going, I hate it, but it's like people, when they speak about him, they speak about him like he's like prime Lampard or Hazard or something, or Drogba. It's like, oh no, we can't get, like, you know, he's gonna, like, he changes the game by himself. No, listen, he's a very good player. You can have them. He's like part of the machine, not the one to drive it. Yeah, Mount's one for 18. Right now, but the 18 months he got like goal contributions, no problem. But if you actually look at his performances, the goals and who he scored the goals against, and goals are goals, so you can do, you know, that's fine. I think he scored like 4 against.
No,
Norwich,
it goes
like,
back further.
He scored 4 against Norwich and like 3 against Southampton or something over the 4 games or something like that. So that's like what, a 7 out of 13 goals or something like that. And it's like, but look at the performances, bro, and that coincides with the rest of the team as well. But let focus on that. Let's do this. He hasn't been good enough and stuff like that, and he hasn't. And we are talking about, like, because it's same with Grealish. Everyone forgets Grealish is turning 27 soon. He's not like 23. Everyone forgets. Mount's 24 now. You know what I mean? I think Oliver said it as well when he pulled it up. That tweet message you had when Ten Hag wanted him, because he loves his work rate and whatever. No on the ball stuff. No key passes. No shots. No shooting. No skills. It's all off the ball stuff. The only thing that's better than off the ball stuff for him is his PR. His PR is on point. It is world class and generational. There's no doubt in the next few weeks, I'm going to read something where somehow Pep's an admirer of Mount or Bayern Munich. And no, it's no doubt that is going to happen. But Mount's just one of those things. Like I said, mate, I lost Juan Mata. Do you know what I mean? Juan Mata for me is like, you know, and he got sold by my favourite manager, Jose Mourinho. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the double thing. So it's one of those.
Yeah, and again, like, I have a good feeling that whatever club Mason goes to, he's probably gonna do well. He's probably gonna be leaving the club. But regardless, he's just not doing it for Chelsea. And back to the creativity thing, like, I think with Mason Mount, again, to give him his flowers, to be fair to him, I think there is creativity in him. I think he is capable of doing that. I think he is capable of being a really good number 8. The issue with Chelsea and him has been the execution has been terrible. He will complete that creativeness 1 out of 10 times. We saw it, like, and I could even tell you, like, off the top of my head, some of the moments he's had has been like really creative moments. You know, the Champions League final, in the group stages, that pass to Callum Hudson-Odoi all the way from the Chelsea half of the midfield to him. Yeah, like, there is a creativity in him, but the execution is so poor.
It's not even just like with creativity. The problem is a lot of us get stuck on assists. We've got to remember as well, especially in that Tuchel Lampard season, the amount of he created a lot of chances that were fluffed. You know, there's a reason Jorginho was our top goal scorer in the league.
And I wanted to hear.
The thing is like this: if you're looking for him to start attacks and passes like that, then no, he can't do the Eriksen job.
Mason's leaning towards the Man United job if Chelsea agreed to sell. Man United job. I mean, Man United. Talks expected between clubs in due course. Other sides who have been pursuing the 24-year-old England international are aware of his preference. So, listen, I think a good manager, if they can refine that trait in him, that creativity, I think they have a good player in his hands. I think they do. But what you just have to be willing to pay that $300K that Mason seems to want, and if you think he deserves it.
And I just think as well, in terms of playing in a midfield role, he needs some serious coaching. How many games have we seen this season where he's been playing as a number 8 and he is the furthest player forward on the average positions?
Yeah, hugging other players' positions. We saw with Mudryk. We put him in the center, he drifts left. We put him in the left, he drifts in the middle. it's just there needs to be a manager Potter wasn't the guy, of course, but it needs to be a manager that needs to discipline him.
I don't think his long passes are that good, Rashid. I swear to God, they're not like I wouldn't put my house on him like being better than Eriksen at the long passes.
No, not at all. Whatsoever. But we'll see what happens with Mason. Wherever he goes, whether he stays. I mean, if he stays, I have a good feeling Poch could get something out of him. But if he goes, he goes. But he had his time to prove himself at Chelsea, and 300K. Sorry, Saka earned it. You have not, my friend.
Yeah, that's a good point from OG Turbo Jesus. No, I'm not sure that obviously the money won't be used towards it, but you're right. It's like doing the funds and what it is put on paper in terms of financials. Then yeah, you could use it for Ugarte or Casadei. Yeah, very good.
Okay,
very good.
I mean, the first priority is going to be getting that June 30th 90 million out of the way. And then you use that money for transfers.
Yeah,
of course. But all right, ladies and gents, we got one more topic before we go ahead and do so. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be a 3-hour special. Thank you guys for staying this long. It's actually crazy. I don't expect to do this again, a 3-hour stream, but you never know. It happens
only when he leaves. Only when he leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, when Mason leaves. Yeah, then we'll do a 3-hour special.
What we could do is, what we do, Martin, we can do a live watch of other live streams and see what's
We're live react to some spaces.
I mean, Marshall, it's just going to be the Casadei Chelsea show from now on. I mean, the season ends on the weekend.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I have more plans for you guys. Don't worry. Maybe a return of some shows and some more call-ins and stuff like that, and some special guests. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on the content that we're going to be doing coming the transfer window and all that stuff. And we'll see what happens. But all right, let's move on to the very last topic, which is what probably a few of you have come to discuss, which is Poch. And we're talking a little bit more about Poch. I know it's not been officially announced, but we have a little bit of details on what Poch's plan is going into the next season, and a little bit more info on Daddy Poch. And you'll see why I called him that in a minute. All right. So Mauricio Pochettino is set to work officially at Chelsea on July 1st, but beforehand, he will take charge of the World 11 for the UNICEF charity match.
For the Chelsea job, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was announcing for the Chelsea job. Moving on to the next tweet right here. Okay. There is nothing to be concerned about with Chelsea supporters with Mauricio's imminent appointment, with the appointment of Mauricio Pochettino. It's ultimately up to Chelsea as a club when they announce the deal. The Blues could even wait until the end of the season. This is coming from Bobby Vincent.
I think it's getting to that point where they will. I mean,
they probably will soon.
It's like I said, the season ends on the weekend. Why not wait?
I think they want to be a little bit respectful to Lampard and just give him, they don't want to be like, oh, this is your manager, but here's Lampard. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not my theory? My theory.
What happened? Oh, okay.
You want to know my theory? I think this.
Go ahead.
When you want the season over with, then you announce Poch, so he has no link to this season whatsoever.
There we go. Yeah.
True.
That's right.
Yeah.
No stench of this season on Poch whatsoever. No,
especially considering the last two matches, United and Newcastle.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. That's my theory.
So the London is Blue podcast had Matt Law, and Matt Law said Mauricio Pochettino's first priority after joining Chelsea will be to plan the summer's preseason tour of USA. Discussions will be had over how Poch wants to work in preseason, how long training camp should be, etc., etc. Mauricio Pochettino, coming from Fabrizio Romano here, will be in London this week. That was last week. All right. The contract to sign the contract as new Chelsea coach expected to be valid until June 2026, making it a 3-year contract. Poch will start discussing transfer plans with the club. New striker, new midfielder will join Chelsea for sure. Continuing on, Chelsea's players may soon become familiar with the notorious gay contest, a grueling intermittent shuttle run favored by Pochettino and his staff. Southampton players hated the gay contest and upset with the amount of running Pochettino was demanding on Mondays after games. Ricky Lampard went to see his new coach to request relaxation. And then the following tweet here. There's something else. Danny Rose on Pochettino. He records training, He was the first manager I came across who records training, records gym sessions. There was one game, Crystal Palace. I thought I had a good game. He called me into his office the next day to analyze the game. I thought there was going to be some good clips. He had 26 bad clips of what I did wrong. That's how he is as a manager. So very meticulous. I don't even know if Potter went over the clips, to be honest, when he was the manager.
He was giving him days off.
Yeah, he was giving him days off. So here we got the continuation of the Ricky Lampard story. Ricky told the lads, yep, I've done it for you boys. Next Monday is going to be sorted, having an easy training. The next Monday, they did 24 runs, and Ricky said, I was running around laughing and almost crying. I knew what he was doing. He was breaking me, and he did. He broke me. So very much of the same cloth, cut off the same cloth as Marcelo Bielsa when it comes to training and intensity. Mauricio Pochettino's primary requirement at Cobham will be to the installation of cameras to monitor every training session from a variety of angles. He and his staff have a video database of every training session and regularly refer back to footage in order to review their methods and tailor feedback to individual players. Mudryk, we're looking at you, bro. Okay, here we got Daddy Pochettino wants to build a family atmosphere within his squad and for the training ground to be regarded as more of a place of work, more than a place of work. During his time at Tottenham, he helped persuade Daniel Levy to spend hold on, where I lost his place. To spend a six-figure sum on constructing a barbecue area within the confines of the training complex, where players and staff could socialize and relax together. There is no suggestion just yet of a similar project at Cobham, and it is likely that most of the changes Pochettino wants to make will not be enacted before the summer. I mean, that money you're using for that game room, Bowley, maybe you can give Pochettino. Give Pochettino. It has his name on it. I just realized his name is on the grill. Oh my days! This man really likes to cook for his children.
Oh, he's got his song on there. He's magic, you know. You see that?
Oh my God, this is insane. All right, whatever. Like, if he wants to cook for the boys, let him cook for the boys. I just feel like it's so strange. But like, hey, look, if he wants to have a closer relationship with the players and the players be together and have more oneness as a team, I'm all for it. It's just, I find it, I've never heard a manager cooking and grilling up for the boys. I mean, hopefully you have something planned for 4th of July since you're going to be in America. Pochettino's connections to Spurs might have been a concern for Chelsea owners, but they were encouraged by the response of the supporters online, which is good. Bowley and Iqbali are determined to have a collaborative environment when it comes to player recruitment, and the head coach absolutely has a voice in that conversation. Thomas Tuchel was consulted to his palpable frustration at times, and so was Potter. And then I believe this is my last tweet on the subject. Mauricio Pochettino flew into London. Okay, we already went this. Chelsea are in a race to sell players before June 30th, so the sales can be included in their financial accounts for 2022 and 2023. Pochettino must quickly decide who he wants to keep. That's a lot of pressure on Poch, I'm not going to lie. But, hey, plans, Pochettino coming in. We're going to decide on who's going to leave, who's going to come, what the plan is, who's staying, and where we're going to put the grill. But what are your guys' opinions on all this news on Poch? It's nice to hear that they're gonna train hard, because it's evident based on what Lampard said that the training was lackluster under Graham Potter with all the days off and all that.
Yep. No, it sounds like it was. They look at it as well. I mean, he's probably gonna have to take a look at why we're getting so many injuries. Is it because of training or lack of?
Yeah, that's a big one.
I've got to come into it because, like, Badiashile, is it out to speak? Is it a groin? Is it a hamstring? No one knows.
Apparently it's hamstring.
What this news is it's not really news to me. It's more like, so you're telling me a manager's going to come in and train the players?
Yeah.
Like they should be. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, you're going to hate this test, bro. You're a multi-millionaire. You know what? It's your job. Do you know what I mean? You don't like it, then go and get out.
And you know what? I just realized the tweet isn't here, but there was a tweet saying that Pochettino was quoted in saying, like, the players aren't paid to play, they're paid to train.
Yes,
the
that's
play.
my
Yes,
approach.
that is correct. Their working week is more like their working week is training. That's their working week. That's their working week, and then the game is like sort of like a night out. You know what I mean? Like an office night out, essentially. It's what you're building towards, essentially. This is it. Wham, bam. Or like you're building up to a big presentation or something like that. That's what the game is. You know? But yeah, they're right. They should be training. They should be fit enough. They should be, running for ages. They should be. They're fit young guys, right? They should be doing that. That's what they're paid to do. And if you're paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, that's the minimum you should do.
I agree. Oliver, you have any 2 cents on all this Pochettino grilling and all that?
I don't mind it if he wants to connect with his players that way. Then by all,
sure.
By all means, I like a barbecue myself, but
I grill the players in training.
True. Actually, that's the most important meat to be grilling. Pause.
But just not really much to say. I'm happy it's done. I'm happy. I'm satisfied with him as a coach. I'll just say with the thing about him deciding which players to keep and sell, I'm sure he's already working on that. I'm sure he's watching the games.
I hope so.
And I'm sure I mean, it's reported that he's going to talk to Lampard, and I hope he blanks Lampard in those talks. But he's going to, somewhere or another, he's going to get some sort of intel on how these players are as people, how they train, from whoever he's going to get that from. He will know. He doesn't have to be there to make these decisions. Some of these things are already a foregone conclusion, like ZS needs to go, etc., etc. So I think it's probably, when you look deeper into it, it's a lot easier than people may think on the surface.
But the thing is, isn't it? Anyone's, I don't know if is it going to be Poch? We've actually moved on from the manager's thing. It's now focused on transfers.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at Chelsea media. Look at online. Nothing's about Poch. Nothing's about anyone else or anyone like their cold feet or something like that. I believe the deal's done. It's just the announcement.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And
I think
every story now about Chelsea is about transfers in and out.
Yeah, and I think it is out of respect to Lampard, Chelsea legend, obviously.
Fine.
But
Now,
just announced at the end.
Now it's just we are 180 minutes from this season being over. It's just what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and that's a relief to hear. I'm not gonna lie. Been. I didn't listen. For those of you who've been longtime watchers of the channel and know me personally, I kind of took a break from Chelsea for a while, and I only came back during the pandemic. I didn't think I'd come back to winning a Champions League and also having our worst season ever possibly recorded as Chelsea team. So. Listen, it's been a roller coaster for me coming back. So just like, Jesus Christ, this is when I left the team at.
Yeah.
Oh man. So listen, it's been a good stream. Thank you everyone who stuck around and watched. 3 hours special. This is insane. Actually, it's not insane. I'm used to it because I stream that much on my own channel, which if you guys want to check out, Discord, it's all in the description below. But this is a lot for Casually FC. So hopefully you guys use the timestamps. I will have everything sorted for you, so you can just skip through the parts that you want to skip through. But yeah, if you have watched this long, big up to you. Leave a comment down below, let us know. But yeah, thank you everyone who joined the panel today. Thank you to Scott, Oliver, and obviously Winter Surfer for joining us. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and raid our good friend of the channel, Sarcasm City and Flawless and crew, who are going to be talking about Mason Mount and stuff.
Go ask him those Man United Mount questions.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll appreciate it. But yeah, big up to them. Make sure you go ahead and copy and paste that raid message over to his channel. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm starving. So you guys, big up to you guys. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel, because 61% of you that do watch are not subscribed. Let's change that, okay? All right, and get us to 1900. We're on our way to 1900 subscribers. Yeah. Big up to you guys for helping us get to 1800 to begin with. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss out when we do stream. Check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on everything that we discussed today. And as always, we'll be back on tomorrow, actually, for a review of the United game, see how that went.
Yes, tomorrow.
We'll actually probably see if I can get Flawless to come on and discuss it. So yeah, we'll see. I'll hit him up. We'll discuss that. But guys, thank you so much for coming on today, and thank you so much for being here. As always, stay casual and have a good night.